asked me out. And to play to that, and then Scott Ian and myself, we come and do our thing. If you like that Anthrax basic stuff that we've done all our career, you're going to be very happy with this record because I think we challenged ourselves. And for us to challenge ourselves at this, because you have a very, very hungry band, nobody's phoning it in. Everybody is ready to go. I mean, hungry. I mean, you can see this. Look at the way I am right now about the next step we have. We are prepared to go for it. And so I hope to see you all out on tour this year. We're going to have a blast. Yeah.
But not only is there new Anthrax music coming, but I think 3 days ago you posted on social media a very short clip from the studio where you played like kind of a funky bass line and wrote, "Had a fun recording session today for one of my favorite bands." Can you tell us anything about that?
I will, because I think it'll be good promotion. I think that project deserves it. I will. My friends in Accept, the band Accept, I love the band Accept. I don't know if you guys know the band Accept. I've been a fan forever. So they were kind enough to ask me to play a song on their 50th anniversary record. I did a song, it's called Save Us. It's an old school song. Some good fun bass lines in it. And the funky thing, you talked about it. And I found it fun and challenging. So I posted it a couple of days. You guys could probably go to my Instagram at @TheFrankBello, check it out, and say hello. Please say hello, because I like talking to people. Maybe I talk too much. What do you think? Yeah? No? Checking myself.
Easy for an interviewer, you know.
That's why I like to keep I like to keep it light and lifelike, because we're all just here. We have one chance through this life. I want to make the most out of every minute. Every minute, I want to enjoy each and every one of you. I love to say hello to each and every one of you. I think it's important to have a conversation because nobody talks anymore. With this damn social media, nobody's talking. Everybody's looking at their fucking phones. And my thing is, there's nothing more personal than having a conversation. Where are you from? How's your life going? I miss that. I've been around long enough to know how important that is in life. And I think we're so carried away and lost in social media that we've lost the chance to converse and just get to know each other and really feel that humanity. I'm not preaching, it's just what I see as a musician. It's like, wow, I miss that because that other stuff is so much more fun than this social media and just talking through your phone. When I talk to you guys, I love it, man. I get to know the barometer of how your life, and what do you want out of your music? I get to feel that, and it helps me write a song for the next time because I feel a temperature. It really is, because we're all sponges, and I get that stuff in my sponge of my brain, and it'll reflect of what I'm doing for the next thing I do, writing-wise, bass playing-wise. I think it's really important to keep doing that in our life, talk to each other and communicate. There can't be the rock star and the fan. It's one-on-one. You know, I'm glad you like what I do, and thank you for that. But I always want to keep it one-on-one because I'm still a fan. I'll never stop being a fan, bottom line. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to leave a little room for a question from the audience, but
I love this. Yes.
But I have one more question.
You?
Since I know that you're from New York.
Am I? Damn. You can tell by the accent.
That
Yo, what's up? How are you doing? All right?
And I know that you are a Yankees fan.
Yes.
I haven't been watching a lot of baseball in the last few years, but a lot of German fans and myself, we are huge American football fans.
I love. We could talk that too. I'm fine.
Giants or Jets?
Here's the deal. I grew up in the Bronx. It's funny, and you think I'd be a New York Jet or Giant fan. And I know it's getting really big here now, right? You're going to hate me because the people I grew up with loved the Dallas Cowboys. And I know that's America's team. But I'm talking about the old, not this current horrible team that they have right now. And quarterback, well, I can't even talk about because I can throw him better than him. The bottom line is, I'm an old Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett. If you know those players, those who I fell in love with, that was a real amazing team. That's the team I've looked forward to. And we'll go back into football, baseball. There's a lot of complacency, I find, even with the New York Yankees. I'm a Yankee fan because I grew up in the Bronx, and I love the whole thing. But the current team relies, I don't know if I'm going over your head with this. Do you know Aaron Judge? Do you know who that is? He's this big football-looking player. football. He's got a big body. Great player. But I need a person to come through as a player when it's showtime, in the playoffs, in the World Series, and he's not done that. So I can't be a Yankee fan with him on it. I'm just being honest. I'm diehard, though. If you show up, if you're scrappy, if you want to do everything you can to get to the next level instead of hit home runs, I'm your fan. But if I see that you can't hit a curveball and you're getting paid millions of dollars, and I could probably hit that curveball better than you, and a fly ball, this is too much inside baseball stuff. If a fly ball comes to you, I played baseball all my life when I was younger, and a fly ball comes right to you in the World Series, and you're playing center field for the World Series, for the New York Yankees, and you miss that fly ball and it drops out of your glove, I cannot be a fan. I can't. Go back to the minors. Go back to the minors and learn how to fucking catch a goddamn ball.
Well, the postseason's coming up, and the Yankees have clinched. So,
they clinched.
Wishing you the best.
And thank you. And let's. And I'm saying this truthfully. I'll say this: they're going to be out after the first round.
You think so?
Because heart. It's all about heart. Talent is great, but if you don't have heart and go that extra step, you're out. That's the way I live my life. So, be in it to win it or don't. I'm a diehard Yankee fan, but not when there's no heart.
Well, I know about sports pain. I've been a New York Jets fan for the past 10 years, so
I'm sorry.
F me.
Yeah, well. And I look, I love it. Jet fans are awesome. They're awesome because they love pain, right? They love pain, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would love to see a New York team be better, but the people that run those teams, again, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Fuck Woody Johnson. Any questions from the audience?
You said it. I didn't say it.
Any questions for Frank? Yes.
Yes. Hi.
Okay, well, hi Frank, I'm Rob here.
How are you?
Well, nice to see you. Well, great. Well, thanks. Well, I just got a question related to your, let's say, of course, Anthrax, of course, yeah. And of course, well, it's a band I used to experience as a band, of course, with a long history, almost more than 4 decades.
It's crazy.
So far, yeah. And, well, there were actually not that many, of course, well, there were a lot of lineup changes, over the last couple of decades, actually, yeah. But you, Charlie, and Scott were kind of a constant, let's say, how do you just call it? Well, a pole, constant pole go throughout all the entire band history. So I was just asking myself, well, how do you actually keep the stability while being in the band? Of course, well, because I just think, well, sometimes, well, your role changes. Sometimes you're friends, sometimes you're business partners, and sometimes you decide, well, to leave the band for personal reasons or whatever. How do you actually deal with that dynamic?
It's a great question.
Would be interesting.
It's a great question. I equate this. A band is like a long-term marriage. For a band like Anthrax, 40 years, Scott, Charlie, and myself have been the nucleus, right? The rhythm section, if you will, right? The rhythm section. For whatever reason, the three of us, when we play, it sounds like Anthrax. That's the way it is. The three, whatever that magic is, I'm very happy with that magic. I'm lucky to be in that magic. But like all of us are humans, how many people are married here? How many people are in long-term relationships or have been? What happens? Trials, tribulations, right? We go through those, I love you, I love you. Oh, you know what? We go through those things and we go up again. It's like, and that's what happens in bands, right? We go through those highs and lows, and sometimes you need a break. You need a break. And whether sometimes, like I've played with other bands like Helmet, last year with Satyricon, I think it's good because absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So I think we know this works. And when we get together, there's a magic that happens with Anthrax that we don't want to lose because we've been lucky enough. The fans support it, we support it, and somehow between us and the fans, it works and there's magic there. So I think even though you have sometimes you go at it, and look, we do it. When we write a record, I think some of the intensity that you hear in the Anthrax music is from the part of us going at it a little bit, about disagreeing, and sometimes it can get pretty ugly because everybody has their point of view. And for those of you who are in a band, understand that, right? and saying, no, I like my part, you like your part, no, but fuck you, and then it gets into ugly stuff. And then you have to back out, back down, calm down. The managers get involved and calm you down. It's all for the good of the record. And remember that term. It's all, like in marriage, it's all for the good of the marriage, right? It's all for the good of the record. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So we're still able to come to talk to people like you in the spirit of Anthrax and get the barometer of, are you guys ready for a new Anthrax record? So this is all part of it. Talking about my new bass, but at the same time, like you said, we're setting up a new Anthrax record. So I love talking to you guys and feeling the pulse that people are ready for a new Anthrax record. So, and I know what you're going to get because I'm very proud of what we have coming out. It's the heaviest thing we've done. We're all pretty experienced with our musicality at this point, so we know what we're doing. I think you're going to love that. And I just can't wait to be one with you again. Anthrax and our fans. There's something very special about that after 40 fucking years. There's something to say about that. And I want to thank you guys, even for staying around that long, because that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We keep going, and our fan base keeps growing. There's a whole new younger generation that's finding TikTok, all this stuff, are finding out about Anthrax. How great is that? So everybody here, we have younger, we have older. That is the best part of life because we know we're doing something right now, right? And so I love doing these things because I feel I'm going home with a high now from this weekend. Yes, my bass, that's great, but I have a bigger picture now of what people are feeling and anticipating for the new Anthrax record, which makes me so psyched because I'm ready. I know we have the goods, and I can't wait to come back and play for you guys. So I've talked a lot. I'm sorry.
Don't have to apologize. But actually, we run out of time.
See, I could
very
talk,
unfortunate.
Man. Oh my God!
But hell yeah, 9 years. Of course, we're excited for the new Anthrax record. Yeah. I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for the question. And yeah.
Yeah. So guys, just so you know, for later, look at the schedules. I have a signing. I think my signing's at 1 or 1:30. Look on. I don't know anything. I'm tired and hungover. We have signings, and I also have a workshop at 1:30. I'll play some Anthrax songs and answer any Anthrax questions you guys have with the Q&A. I like to keep my clinics and workshops light, and we have fun. So I want like more of a party atmosphere because it's Sunday, and we're all hungover. Let's have a good time, right? Thank you all
Bello.
for coming.
Up next in 15 minutes is Mr. Billy Sheehan, if you want to stick around.
Billy's the best. Hung out the other day. We played last night. Billy Sheehan rules. And send my love to Billy, all right?
We will.
Oh, cool.
Thank you. Is it on? I think this one's on.
Okay, there I am.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Perfect. He is one of the greats. Some call him the greatest of all time. He's probably your favorite bass player's favorite bass player. It's Mr. Billy Sheehan, everybody.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
You've been playing in front of huge stadium crowds and smaller crowds for a few decades now. What makes events like this in front of 30, 40 people still special to you?
Well, it's a chance to speak with people one-on-one. I generally, after a show, I come out and like by the tour bus or outside the venue, and we talk and hang out, I sign things, and there's usually a meet and greet that you have to pay for. I don't like that because my autograph is free, but we have to pay the bills sometimes. So some people contact me and say, I'm coming to the show, but I can't afford the meet and greet. So I say, well, meet me out after the show, and I'll sign everything for you. So, but it's nice to see. What a joy to be back in Germany, too. I just love it here. The food and the people and the hospitality, and you guys are awesome.
Yeah,
You can applaud
I think
yourself.
so. Yeah. You've been here. I think you arrived on Thursday as well. Have you just wandered around?
I'm going to today.
You're going to today?
Yeah, I haven't had time to yet. So today I'm going to look around and shop, maybe find some cool stuff. I've already found a couple cool things, so I'm going to...
Can you tell us something about that?
I found there's a kill switch you can put on your guitar. But there's one as a pedal, and it's automatic, so you can set it for a certain speed. Go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And so a guy just gave it to me last night. I can't wait to try it. It looks really cool. But I'm sure there's some great stuff, and there's some amazing luthiers, guitar builders, that have just done some incredible things. So I hope to find some interesting instruments.
Gonna take something home with you?
I don't know if the customs will allow me, but I'll make up some story that, I took it with me when I left. It belongs to me, you know.
You're also here as kind of a guest ambassador of Yamaha,
Yes.
with whom you've been in a partnership with for almost 4 decades now, I believe. Have other companies ever tried to pry you away from them?
Not really, because I'm loyal, and I think they know. Several other companies have been kind enough to build me an instrument or give me an instrument, and I appreciate it, and I use it around the home. But my main base is the Yamaha attitude. It has been since they created it. I work with them on the design, and they basically took all the things I did to my old P bass and did it correctly, because I did it incorrectly. Like my P bass has a 1968 Telecaster neck, which is big and fat.
The wife, right?
That's the wife. That's correct. And so the attitude, the neck is designed after that shape and size. And the pickup placement is exactly the same. The volume control is in exactly the same place, so it feels exactly right to me. Two things we have that are special about the bass, the neck to body joint. Fenders are amazing, and I love Fender forever, and they're probably the most iconic guitar brand. But their neck to body joint is incorrect. They use the wrong screw, and it can loosen up, and the neck can move sideways, and the socket, which for 99% of people, that's not a problem. You tighten it up enough, you're good. The guitar sounds great. It's amazing. Didn't bother Hendrix, didn't bother Stevie Ray Vaughan, didn't bother Jocko, didn't bother anybody. But for me, I do a little vibrato thing where I push, and sometimes the neck would shift. So Yamaha went to a lot of trouble to make a neck-to-body joint that is super solid. You can't move it. And as a result, the guitar really sings. The two bodies of wood, the body and the neck, pardon me, work together very well. And then they also added one more fret at the top, because all the P basses go to E flat. It's the highest note. And as we know, E is a very common key signature for rock and roll. So now that I go up to the high E, I can actually bend it up to a G too. So it helps. One little thing like that actually helps a lot. So when I play a bass that doesn't have the E on top, I'm so used to it being there, it throws me off a little.
Was the Attitude the first signature bass with scalloped frets?
I believe so. My old band from Buffalo, Talus, before I joined David Lee Roth, we did a tour with Yngwie. And I knew about scalloping because John McLaughlin from the Mahavishnu Orchestra, he scalloped his Les Paul. And a friend of mine was a Mahavishnu freak, and his Les Paul was scalloped too. This is back in the early 70s. So I knew about it for a long time, but I didn't think much about it. Then we toured with Yngwie, and he's just so great. I say Yng is the king. He's awesome. And we'd get up and jam every night for the encore, and we had a great time. But I wonder what it'd be like if I scalloped my bass. Then I looked and I thought, if I did the whole thing, I'd lose too much wood. I want the mass of that wood. People worry about the mass of the body, but the strings pass over the neck for an even longer length. So the mass of the neck is important. So I just did the top 4 or 5. When I travel, I always have a toolkit. So I had my Dremel Moto tool, the spinning thing that I could hollow out. And I didn't do it all the way across because the low E and A, you couldn't push those into the wood even if you tried. I mean, you need to be a bodybuilder or a very strong person, which I am not. So the halfway across scalloping, and it helps a little. It's not really necessary. I played without it for years, but you can kind of get underneath that string if you really want to do a high bend, and helps you get it up there. So that was cool. But I would always carry a toolbox, tools with me, and so many rock and roll people got in trouble for smashing up hotels and breaking things. So when I would check into a hotel, I would fix things. I did the exact opposite. So the maid would come in and say, hey, this light wasn't working before. It's working now. And I get in there and I put it together. So I did an anti-rock and roll star.
So the scalloped frets are particularly good for bending. For people who don't know scalloped frets, what are they?
Yeah, there's wood in between the frets, and we just hollow it out so when you push down, you don't touch the wood. And you'll notice on like a lot of Telecasters and Stratocasters, maple neck, you'll notice that the finish is worn off under the string sometimes. That's from pushing and rubbing against the wood. So when you remove that, you can push it. But for guitarists, it's a little precarious because you can also push it sharp or not hard enough to be flat. So it's something you got to get used to. But a sitar basically has the same principle. The fret is just an arch piece of metal. There's nothing underneath it at all. That's why you get so many wild bends in sitar Indian music.
When it comes to creating a new signature bass, what's like the point where you start to consider creating a new version of the attitude? Is it like developments in technology, or maybe if your demands as a player have changed?
I'm pretty much a creature of habit. So those basses are pretty much the way they were when they first began in 1988. I think I got my first Attitude. Prior to that, I got one of the BB series. It was a famous kind of a pinkish-looking bass. It was supposed to be rose blue, but not so much blue showed up, so it looked more pink than blue. So I got in trouble for having a pink bass. I took some criticism for that. But right now, the next change we're going to do is make sure all the new Attitudes have the DiMarzio Relentless pickups. And they have been a huge hit. I designed them with Larry DiMarzio. They're curved, so they match the radius of the neck. Like a stand-up bass player, they play over the neck on the fingerboard. Their fingers are always hitting the fingerboard. And that prevents them from going too far. So for a regular bass, electric bass, it's put sideways. You play this way. And so I always play over the pickups. My hands actually rub against the pickups, and the string is in between. So I made my own for years with epoxy. I dipped them in epoxy, shaved them down, round them off, put them in myself. Me and my toolkit. I would do that with my toolkit. But so DiMarzio designed them that are already rounded like that. Then they covered them with nickel, plate nickel, which is a metal that is non-magnetic, so it doesn't interfere the magnetic pickup, but it conducts electricity, so it shields the pickup perfectly. So they're dead quiet. And I don't know how Larry got these to be so loud, But a lot of guys are removing their active pickups and just putting in the relentless now because they're super high output. So every bass I've used them in, they really just sound great. And they come in true chrome, like metal chrome, metallic gold, and black. And eventually they'll probably do some custom colors too. But they're just great. They sound fantastic and noticeably higher gain. And they do a version that's a little bit less gain for people that don't want that super high output, more vintage sound. But that will be probably included on all the new Attitudes very soon.
When it comes to gear and creating a particular sound for bassists, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, often get kind of intimidated by the sheer number of choices that they have and all the technical things you have to get into, and you see people doing all this stuff and you're like, I don't know shit about that.
Exactly.
So if someone loved your sound and wanted to go in that direction, what's the one like simple essence that everyone can take away and implement in their playing without having a very special setup?
Well, it is kind of a special setup. I started, though, by plugging my P-Bass into my Super Bassman amp and then an SVT for years and years and years. So that's a good foundation. So then when you later on you want to get into more sounds and changes, it's a little easier because you're used to your instrument and you played for a decade with the same tone and the same chord, the same pickup. So that really helps. Nowadays, I use the Helix a lot now. It's been fantastic. They have the new one on display here, and it's unbelievable. I have one they sent me a prototype to try, and we were recording, and I plugged it in just before we started and used and built the same patch that I have in my other Helix, and it was a noticeably amazing change. Just great. I urge everyone to go to Yamaha and try it out. It's so great. Yamaha and Line 6 are the same company. But what I basically do is I notice that there goes my water. I noticed that when I hit a hard high note through the P-Bass, the bottom kind of drops out and then comes back. So from the very beginning, I love the EBO bass sound, the big fat EBO low neck position pickup. And I put one on my bass from the very early days. And that was a separate output to a different amp, a low amp, the super clean and super low. And then the P pickup went into an amp that was more high end and even a little beginnings of distortion. Rickenbacker has the Rico sound, stereo jack. Both pickups go to two different amps. All the early alembic basses, which were the first broadly available handmade bass, Stanley Clark used them. A lot of people use the alembic. It's quite a great instrument. They all had a Canon connector with dual outputs. Each pickup went to a different amp. So that was after I had done mine. I didn't know about it. Now I've seen photos of John Paul Jones from Zeppelin. He took his jazz bass and sent pickups to two different amps. Mel Shacker from Grand Funk Railroad, he had the big EBO pickup on his jazz bass, same thing. Tony Visconti, the famous producer who did all the early Bowie stuff, I just posted a photo of him on my Facebook with a Fender. I think it's a P bass and a big fat EBO pickup on there. So it was something that I didn't know about, but other people of the same mind came up with the same solution. That dual output thing really works well. Now, if you don't have a double pickup thing, you can split your signal, a little splitter box, go into a high amp, and then if you got effects like phasing or flanging or chorus or distortion, it makes more sense because you can hear the high frequency. And the low end stays clean, no effect. So you always got that low end underneath you. So when I played in a three-piece band, my old band Talus, for years, people thought we had another guy behind the stage because I do the extra keyboard parts and rhythm guitar parts and sometimes even a little solo part, but there was always low end. There's always super deep low end. Where normally you start going up the neck, you lose that. And so now I'd recommend try splitting, and the high amp, it just has to be a little amp. Could be a deluxe reverb or something small amp because you don't need a lot for that. Like a tweeter in your home stereo. The tweeter's a tiny little thing, but the woofer is large. And that's a very common thing for high fidelity, is you split the frequencies. So basically, these frequencies overlap. They aren't absolutely split. I roll off my high end at about 300 cycles. From 300 cycles down, there's nothing. So it's pretty, high. But the low end is a full range without much treble on it. So it's super deep. So connected together, it's really a hi-fi sound. It helps to make up for no rhythm guitar player or keyboard player. So you don't have to carry a Hammond B3 around anymore. That's always a good thing. And it's a simple thing that anybody can do, and it doesn't alter your instrument if you just want to split the output. Dual pickups is a little bit more efficient, but you can get an idea whether you'd like that or not. Just a little splitter box into 2 amps and see what happens.
Or you can just get the Attitude bass, which has 2 outlets.
Yeah, there you go. Now, the Attitude has a switch, so you can switch from each pickup has its own output. You can sum them together. We pull it out, and they both go to 1. So if you don't want to do the double thing, you don't have to. We made that for people that might not want to do it, but still want to use the Attitude bass.
But you could.
You could.
You could. I want to quickly get into a new project that you are a part of.
Yeah.
On October 24th, you're releasing a new EP, the debut EP, with your new project, The Fell.
Yes, sir.
With Toby Rand and Mike Krampus.
Yes.
How did that project start?
Years ago, Mike Krampus found me on Facebook. I didn't know him, really. And he got in touch with me. Hey, I got some songs I need bass on. Will you come on over and play bass? I said, sure. So I lived in L.A. I drove out to his studio, and we laid some bass on. These songs are great. Who's the singer? Toby Rand. He's I think he won like the some huge televised nationwide, like American Idol, Australia. I think he won that contest at one point. And he also was in line to be the NXS singer, and I think he was the number 2 guy. So he missed it by 1. But he's got a great voice and great lyrics and really cool, and Mike's guitar playing is amazing. And so at the end of the session, he says, well, I can pay you for the session, or do you want to maybe start something with us? And I go, let's do that. And that was a long time ago. So unfortunately, Toby had a contractual agreement with this manager, and he couldn't go off and do anything else. So it got put away for a while. We tried to do a couple shows with other singers, but it was never the same. Toby is awesome. So just recently, he's out of his deal and out of his contract, and he's ready to go again. So Mike called me and said, let's do it. We wrote a few more new songs, remixed some of the old ones, I redid some bass a little. Just after you listen to it for a while, you want to make some changes. And I just really love the way everything sounds. Mike is also great in the studio as a producer and mixer, so he's got it dialed in very nicely. So we'll put out the EP at the end of October. Then the whole record will come out at the beginning of the year, and then we hope to be touring by the summer. And it's heavy, but it's up and it's alive, and the vocals are great, and I'm really excited about it.
After all these years of releasing music and records, are you still anxious before releasing an EP or an album?
No, it's just you got to do the things you must do. Got to do a million interviews and photo sessions, and once you get out there on the road, I've done it for a long time. I've been playing. I'm over 6,000 gigs, and been playing for almost 60 years. I think 60 years is about right. So I was nervous a long time ago, but I'm okay now.
Are you coming over to Europe with the Fell, or is it just US?
I'm sure. Well, most bands don't choose where they play. They have to be booked by Germany or Italy or France or England. Same with South America. And a lot of times people in the comments section, why won't you play Detroit? Why do you hate Detroit? I go, no. Detroit won't book us. They need to bring us there. We have a product we're selling. We can't force you to buy it. We got to come there. So try to educate some people on how that works. But we would love to do a good run of shows in Europe. Would be fantastic. Maybe festival time in the summer. We'll get a couple of those. But I think people will be very pleased. I run all my own social media, so I very closely watch what people are saying. And the comments for the fell have been all really excellent. I haven't seen a bad review yet, so we're happy about that.
So any bookers out there, the Fell Music on Facebook, just hit them up.
Please.
You played the last show with Mr. Big this February at the legendary Nippon Budokan in Tokyo. Was that a conscious decision because Mr. Big, having had such a huge success in Japan, having released live album from Japan, to play your final show in Japan?
Well, our first shows, our warm-up shows in China, then we went and did our very first shows for the farewell tour in Japan at the Budokan, Osaka Castle Hall, and another huge venue. So we were done with Japan, and when they did the rest of the world farewell tour. So when we got done with the farewell tour, Japan said, "Hey, wait a minute, come back and do one more, will you?" So I was like, "Okay," and we went back and did it, and it was the first time we did it. We had our guitarist Paul brought his wife and son out on stage. Our drummer Pat, who passed away, brought his wife out. It was beautiful, and his son, and singer and his. I don't think his boys could make it, but it was just him and me and my wife. And a drummer we're using on the tour, a fabulous drummer, Nick DiVirgilio, he brought his wife out, and we all said thank you to the crowd. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was amazing. The Japanese folks were so great to us. So going back to do it again at the very end of the tour was similar. Everybody was just really so wonderful, and it was a very emotional night. And we have so many great fans around the world. Of course, here in Germany and all over Europe, and South America is insane, and Australia and Southeast Asia, Japan, and everywhere. So it's such a great honor for us to have so many incredible friends. I hate calling people fans; they're more my friends than fans, you know. So for the final show, it couldn't have been any better. They were just incredible to us, and a huge sold-out show, and it was. Mr. Big was a great band. I'm so pleased with our work. I'm so grateful that so many people enjoyed what we did and bought our records and came to our shows. And I always tell people, everything I own, everything I have, comes from a fan buying a ticket, a T-shirt, or a record, or a download, whatever it is now. And I never forget that. You know, so to all those people, we owe a great debt. That we're so thankful that they were so kind to us to come to our shows and enjoy our band and call the radio station and to request our music, and it was amazing. So we did our very best for them on the last tour, and we did a farewell tour because as we're getting older, I can still do a whole 2-hour show with a double neck bass on, no problem, but not everybody's like that, and so we wanted to run over the finish line, not crawl over the finish line. As we see now, there's a couple of artists out there that aren't singing or playing like they used to. And I love them just the same, but it's sad to see. So we didn't want to get to that. So while we're still in good shape, let's end on a high note, and it was a beautiful thing. Very good, very good. Mr. Big sweatshirt, too, right there.
Except for the Fell, are there any other musical projects on the horizon that you can talk about?
I just played on the new Peter Criss record, the whole thing. He was wonderful to work with. What a nice guy. He called me out of nowhere and said, "Hey, you play bass on my record?" Sure. So that was cool. Cool songs, great stuff. I just did 4 songs on the Accept 50-year anniversary tribute record. Accept was one of my favorite heavy metal bands of all time. Thank you, Germany. I did Fight Back, Restless and Wild, and 2 others I forgot. So that's coming out. I'm always recording bass for all kinds of things. People contact me from all over the world, will you play bass on my record? And I have my engineer, Scott, and we team up with a drummer named Ray Lugier from Korn. We have a production team. So if you need bass and drums, me and Ray, we can give it to you. So during the pandemic, we did almost 600 tracks. It was insane. So we've played a lot. So those things come out here and there with various people around the world, and there's a lot of work to do, and the new Helix is coming out. I'm going to have a meeting with Yamaha guys and go through all the new things about that. I might try to get Yamaha to do maybe a 3/4 size Attitude, like a small one, and my strings from Rotosound are selling very well, and people are happy. And my DiMarzio pickups have been really great, too. So a show like this is nice to see all the manufacturers. I get to say hello to them and stuff. So, but other than that, as far as music goes, there's always tons of stuff going on. So I'm blessed to have a busy life.
I want to leave some time for questions from the audience. Someone is already prepared. That is very good. Good for you?
Of course, my pleasure.
Awesome.
And I'll be able to hear these questions.
So, Billy, testament to yourself, arguably you've played with some of the best guitarists in the world. You mentioned Mr. Malmsteen, Paul Gilbert, of course, Richie Kotzen, and a certain Mr. Vai. My question, I guess, is in two parts. Do any of that, through your playing with all those people, do they have anything in common? It's the first part. And did you learn anything from them, or did they learn anything from you? So it's basically your journey with those guys.
Well, when I started with Steve, we had a lot in common because I was a Frank Zappa fan from the very earliest Frank Zappa, from Freak Out and Absolutely Free, and We're Only in It for the money, Hot Rats, Overnight Sensation, Billy the Mountain, Just Another Band from L.A., Live at the Fillmore. I can recite most of those records from beginning to end, and Steve can too. So he was also a big Hendrix fan and a Bowie fan, and I was as well. So we had a common ground. Now, Steve is he knows how to read music and he knows about music theory. I don't. I'm just ears only. So when we had to communicate, we would say, it's kind of like that Hendrix part. And, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. So we've had a lot of common ground because of the things we both loved. Paul Gilbert used to come see me play in Tallis when he was a little kid. And he wasn't a little kid. He was a tall kid. We'd play on a stage about this size, about this high, and Paul would be in front of me, and he'd be almost my height. So I'd be singing to the mic, and Paul would be right there. And so I knew him and he knew Tallis, and he knew all the Tallis songs. So we had a lot of common ground there as well. And he just became an amazing player. And it was wonderful to watch him go from the little kid in the audience, the tall kid in the audience, to what he is today, which is just a grandmaster of the guitar. Richie, too, what a great voice and what a great player he is. Tony McAlpine is another one that I love playing with. Greg Howe, now Mike Krampus in the Fell, great player. So I pick up little things from guitar, but I'm more about drums. And that works out good because guitar needs to be guitar, bass needs to be bass. I don't want to be too guitar-ish. I get accused of it sometimes because I think people just think that in their mind. They don't often see a bass do some of the things, and with the tone I use, it's not really common. It's not. A lot of players do play like that. A lot of players use distortion. Jack Bruce and Chris Squire and Mel Shacker and Entwistle. But I try to separate out from guitar and lock in with the drums. And for me, that bass drum is where I play a note. The bass drum or the snare drum, and I often will play the fill. For drummer, chicka, ticka, ticka. I'll be playing ticka, ticka on the bass, the same kind of rhythm and the same feel. And that gives the guitarist a great foundation. Because as he's playing, underneath him is this big solid thing that's all locked together in time. And the drums and bass are woven together. And for vocals and guitar, that's a beautiful thing because they've got that underneath them. So I generally try to watch drums more than anything else. And I've been lucky to play again with some great drummers. Dennis Chambers changed my life. My whole life I was a 2/4 straight up rock player, and Dennis came along and changed everything. He was amazing. Terry Bozzio, Pat Torpy, of course, Greg Bissonette, so many guys. So I stick more with the drums. I hope that satisfactorily answers your question. Very good, thank you.
I think we have time for one quick one. I think he was first.
Watch your head.
So, Billy, first of all, I didn't really say thank you for the pick the other day.
Okay.
That was pretty unpolite. The question is, did you ever even look at the 5-string?
If I'm going to do a something more than 4, I'll go to 6. If I'm going to get confused, I might as well get very confused. And the 5 to me is just, I can drop my low E down to a D and bend it down to a B. So I can get a B note out of a 4-string bass, out of my attitude. But it's just, I got used to those 4 strings, and it works for me. Now I also I've always had a 6-string also. I used on Just Take My Heart by Mr. Big. But at live I played it on a 4. And I just got one of the John Patitucci 6. Should go to the Yamaha booth and check that bass out. It's amazing. And I love it because it's the standard spacing. So many 5 strings or 6 strings, they make the strings closer together, and I need to get in between them with my hands to pluck them. And the 6-string, the Patitucci bass is amazing. So I got that, and I sat down with it and worked out all the same patterns and scales and all the exercises I do, and worked them all out on 6. When I went back to the 4, it was just more fluid. It kind of helped me out as kind of an exercise. So I have that bass in case I need it for low B when a client wants that pitch on his track. I'll use a 6-string. Or I'll use a 4-string strung B-E-A-D. So on my double neck, one neck is B-E-A-D, the other neck is E-A-D-G. So I can go down to the low string. But I've just spent decades on 4-string necks. I imagine I could adapt to it. But I remember the first time I got up and jammed with a band, and the bass player had a 5-string bass, I had no idea where I was, because the notes aren't the same. And you kind of judge, even advanced players, you look at what the note is on the last string. On the guitar, the 3rd fret is G, the 5th is A, and the 12th is another E. Makes sense. And you don't really need to do that as you become a more competent player, but it really helps. And I saw video recently of Jimi Hendrix, about 5, they compiled 5 videos of him standing up there and going, counting the frets and then putting his hand on the right spot. So even Jimmy needed to have that low E in there. But the 6 is cool, and if you play 6 or 5, that's cool. But then we have a problem because a lot of the 5-stringers say, because Joe Average doesn't know anything about bass or guitar, and he says, how many strings on a bass? 4. Oh, this guy plays a 5-string. 5-string? Oh, he must be way better than the guy who plays 4. And this guy plays 6-string. Oh, he's got to be the greatest player in the world, and all those 4-string guys should just go home. But that's not true. That isn't the case. So unfortunately, we get a lot of fights online about 5-string or 6-string. And I hate the bass players fighting each other online. And if any of you looked on some of the comment section, woo, we had some insane fights, and totally unnecessary. I love all bass players. You have 5 or 6 or a 3 or a 2. I don't care. Just play bass and make music and make people happy. That's what it's all about.
No room for bassism.
Bassism, very good. I'm
Thank you.
going to use that.
Thank you.
Don't be a bassist.
Don't be a bassist. Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for your question. I want to thank you for being here, listening to Mr. Billy Sheehan. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me very much. So thank you all. And what a joy, again, to be in Germany. I hope I get a chance to come back very, very, very soon and play for you all. Dankeschön.
Danke. Thank you.
Is that microphone working? Yes.
No,
No. Oh yeah, it is.
it is working.
All right, cool. That was a convincing no.
Yeah, I honestly thought it wasn't working.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rabea Massaad.
Hi.
I'll skip the politties. We just caught up a little.
Yeah, we
bit.
know each other. It's all good.
It's nice. I'm gonna start with a little bit of a musical catch-up because you've been in a lot of projects throughout the years, and people might not be aware of what's happening right now with Vower. So, band-wise and music-wise, where are you at?
Yeah, so Vower is the new project that we launched a year and a half ago. It's made up of a couple of bands that were kind of well established in the UK. Black Peaks and Palm Reader, which some of you may know or not, but they were doing pretty well. And then my band Tosca. And yeah, we got together and a couple of years ago just started jamming and writing. And it's, you know, like when you meet people, that writing becomes really just natural. There's no real barrier. There's no awkwardness. If you don't like an idea, they're like, oh, what do you think of this? And you're like, yeah, it's all right. There's none of that, you know. It's just, I think we're all on the same page musically, so the songs just started flowing out. And what's nice for me personally is it's not, Tosca was very progressive and like trying to just push the boat out structurally and musically, whatever. This is like it's like an unspoken agreement to just write some tunes, write some songs. They may follow a formulaic structure, verse, chorus, verse, but it's more about the vibe and the vocals now. There's vocals.
Yeah. Right.
So we've been a year and a half. We've had decent success so far. Played some big festivals, Download and a couple of others. And I'm now recording and mixing it all. So I've been working really hard over the last couple of years at engineering and recording and all that stuff. And so yeah, we're on tour in November. It's going well.
That's dope, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's very exciting. I do love I'm you know, some people are really good with instrumental music only, but I'm biased towards vocal. Like I want somebody to sing me a song, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy what you guys are doing. What's the writing process like now? Because I'm guessing it is a different exercise to work with a singer. Now, I mean, you've done it before with Rob and so on, but what's the writing process like in this particular context?
So very fortunately, I've got a studio that I have in Brighton. So guitarist will come over and we'll have a session template with like a electronic kit mapped to GGD or something like that. Then we'll sit with the guitars, and you know how it is nowadays. You got plugins and quad cortexes and all this stuff, so you don't need to.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So you can just quickly throw out some ideas, record it in, jump on the kit, track a quick idea, plug the bass in, and just put together a structure.
So far in that story, you're alone. You're just doing this in your studio, and
just me and Joe, the other guitarist.
Okay.
Because it's easy. Like I love writing in a room with the band, but you have that too many chefs syndrome sometimes, where they're like, "Oh, it'd be cool if we like lengthen this bit," and you're like, "Yeah, just give me a sec. I'm just trying to work out this riff." Now. Yeah, but what about the bass bit? Like,
what if we did this in 1718?
Yeah,
How about you
I just need a minute to get this riff down. So it's nice, just the two of us get the skeleton.
Yeah.
I'll mix it to a point where it sounds not terrible, so the other guys, because I think that can stump your inspiration. If it sounds bad, like if it's mixed to, they're going to go, I'm not sure. If it sounds big and punchy, they might be like, oh, this is a vibe. So yeah, it's very much go with your gut with an idea. In Tosca, sometimes Ben and Dave would have to go and get a coffee while I sit there and like think of the perfect part, like 20 minutes. They'll come back in, have you got something? Like, with this, it's like, oh, that's a cool vibe. Let's just go with it for now. If it doesn't work in the rest of the song later on, we'll address it then. And that's been the one thing that's made us write so quickly. So
yeah, true. Like the output was pretty quick for a band that's only existed for a year and a half.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've done with this EP coming out in November, we'll have done an album's worth of tracks in the last year, and we've already written 6 more songs for the album that will be next year.
Nice, that's epic. Yeah. Going into the sound of that demo, then what's your at-home setup right now? What do you use for tracking? What do you use for? Is it plug-in? Do you have your amp set up at home as well? What does that look like?
So at home, We were talking about this a minute ago in the like home studio, room where I have a guitar.
Yeah.
It's just a quad cortex, a pair of monitors, because it's just for practice and enjoyment of playing, which I'm trying to find again.
Yeah.
But at the studio, obviously, from the last over a decade of demoing gear, it's all still
It's
there.
all there, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like stack of amps.
You
and
don't have a
pedals.
vault somewhere.
It's ridiculous, man. There's so much choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now with getting into recording and having mics and stuff, so we'll just, if we're recording for the actual records, we've got a good choice of stuff. But if we're talking about writing and putting ideas down, that'll be upstairs in the mix room, which will again be plug-in. It'll be a combination of plug-in and QC for the demos.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's all right.
Right. It's fun that you mentioned the vault. Like yesterday, Dweezil Zappa was saying, I have a like a literal. It's written on it, big box of overdrive, big box of fuzz, and just like that hanging in the back somewhere. That's epic. You gave a workshop yesterday that I couldn't attend, so I'm going to ask you to boil it back down for me. What's now the big touring rig? What's the mix of amp and modelers, and how do you get that on the road?
So yeah, my workshop yesterday was meant to be showing that, but the
Oh, it
amps
was
never arrived.
Oh shit!
I had some
Sorry.
Victory
I didn't know.
amps coming from the UK.
Oh yeah.
And they're somewhere in Germany right now. I've no idea where.
Oh, man, you're not lucky with transportation,
No,
are
I'm
you?
not at all. I lost my guitars 4 times last year on flights. It's just, I don't know what it is.
Let's go into what's the worst airplane company to work with. Let's do it right now.
Honestly, Lufthansa.
Are we doing it? Okay.
No, we're not. I'm just, they'd be the worst. Though.
Oh,
They'd be the
wow.
worst.
I'm
For me.
sorry, man. But yeah, I followed those stories. I didn't know it repeated yesterday.
So stressful.
Wow.
But
That's-
anyway, yeah, the touring setup is for now, because we're playing smaller venues and we got to be able to. It's got to be portable.
Yeah.
Be the quad cortex, and then I'll run outputs to effects loop returns of amplifiers.
Okay.
So it's really important that we have amps on stage. With
You are
cabs.
doing stage sounds still.
Yeah. We don't mic those up.
No.
Front of house gets the XLRs, but it means I can stand in front of my amp and get that feedback.
Yeah.
You know, with the gain and the delay, and make make a vibe before
Yeah,
the song kicks in. So that's really important. And the nice thing with the modeling side of things is that it's the same preset.
Yeah.
You're not having to worry about that. And XLR to front of house, engineer gets the same sound every night.
Yeah.
But what we really want to do once we get, hopefully, to bigger venues is have back to the stereo rig with the big board, the gig rig, all the Strymon stuff.
Yeah.
Including QC, though, because there are things in there, like when the synth comes to QC,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
which we 100% need in the sound. So it'll
Yeah.
be an even bigger pedal board, I think.
Yeah.
I think it weighs like 40 kilos already.
Does it?
It's bad, yeah, it's
Wow,
bad.
yeah. Holy like I love when people put the argument like, oh, you should go with modelers, they're a lot more practical. Look
they
at you
absolutely
putting
are.
them on a 40 kilo pedal board. You know? All right. Okay. No, but that's great. I'm sorry about your amps. I had no idea that the workshop turned
I
out
was
that way.
hoping they'd arrive today because I have another workshop. They're not here.
Not there.
So I've managed to find a JCM 900
Oh, yeah.
and a Invective Mini.
I was going to say, like, if there's any place where you can find like some spare amps and guitars, probably.
The cool thing is that my Krakens are based on a JCM 900 and a
Yeah.
5150.
Yeah.
So having a JCM 900 and an Invective
Yeah.
is 50, 150-ish.
Adjacent, yeah.
Then it's hopefully will work.
Right. Okay. Cool. Very cool. I am really looking forward to hearing you on stage with that setup. I think, yeah, it's. I want to move aside a little bit because I'm really just backing off the conversation with Dweezil Zappa yesterday. That was a big moment for me, so I'm going to repeat
course.
myself a bit. But that conversation went into the content creation versus the musician sort of debate, you know, and Dweezil was explaining what he was looking out into the future, planning to do on YouTube or on tour and on that. What's your mindset right now? Because you're doing both things. You're doing a bit of everything. It was like, do you plan on going more with gear demos, or do you just want to focus on the band and slow that down a bit?
So it was like, I think lockdown is where I had like a lot of people did, an epiphany of like, I'm not happy doing gear demos really anymore. Like, there are some brands and that are personal friends.
Yeah.
You know, Boss, Victory, you know, Neural, Strymon, people like that, Origin, that I've made close friends with over the years of demoing. That if they're like, do you want to try something out? Then yeah, because they're friends, and you know, it's still a platform that I built up that people come to hear stuff.
Yeah.
But it honestly just, for me now, I think having invested so many years doing that, I felt like I wasn't doing enough of the music. I was always in bands touring alongside it, but it wasn't the primary focus.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been really important to put more energy into, you know, being a guitarist writing music with the band or on my own, and just investing more in that side of my life, because it, you know, makes me feel happier.
Yeah, that's it. Like ultimately, is just do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's the objective, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, because it's a constant conversation in the industry of like people not feeling super great about being called content creator when you want to be a musician, you want to be a guitar player. It's part of the job. It's a necessary part of the job nowadays.
Yeah.
But you know, it's an internal sort of debate for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so.
like Instagram's a good example of something that I enjoy because I just get to play
Yeah.
and post that.
Yeah.
And I understand in the modern landscape, being online on, you know, these platforms is crucial to people's careers. You know, you see even the older guys doing it now.
Yeah.
So that, again, backs up that it is relevant and it is important to keep things going. And I like that platform because I don't have to talk about gear and stuff. And it's the other thing of like, when you go more into just music and playing bands and writing your own stuff, you realize that you do start to filter away your following a bit. Like my YouTube channel, it's more universally appreciated if someone's looking to buy a piece of gear that they can come to my channel and enjoy the video. Whereas when I start talking about my own music, a very small percentage of those people are going to care.
Yeah.
But honestly, it doesn't bother me because it's something that even if one person was like, I really like what you're doing, then that feels
That's
for
enough.
me worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to Chris a lot about this because he's in the exact same position. I'm sorry, I'm not talking for you, but you know, he's released an album as well, and you know, you see the divide between him demoing a clone and him talking about the writing process of his music, and it's, you know, it can be a little heartbreaking sometimes because that's your love child, that's your passion. And so, but I understand. It's interesting you mention Instagram that way because that's exactly how I feel. That's why I don't or barely do any YouTube of my own. I'm here for YouTube for Torment. That's a bit weird for me to say, but it's like, it's different. I couldn't come home and do the explanation and all, while Instagram gives me a little bit more of, I'm just going to play this for a minute 100%. And that's going to be what it is, you know, and it's more freeing that way.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Let's go back to gear a little bit. It is Guitar Summit, so we got. Let's do.
It's Sunday, man. It's all good. You take your time.
Let me phrase that inside my head for a second. Do you want to say something specific in the meantime, or is that like? No, I do want to talk about maybe your objectives, not your objectives, sorry, where you see your rig going right now. Is it taking a specific direction? Do you think ultimately what you want is to keep that hybrid? Every year we do those conventions and we ask people, what do you think the future of amplification, the future of guitar is? And are you going to die on that hill? Are you going to be the guy with the tube amps going and, you know, using that?
I think in an ideal world for me, it would be that hybrid because I played tube amps and pedals for so many years before getting into the digital stuff.
Yeah.
You hear that thing where people, if they've only played digital, they struggle on a tube amp because it's faster, it's less forgiving, it exposes more detail in different ways. You can't what the amp sounds like is literally what it sounds like on a modeler. You can EQ you just take it way away from where it sounded originally, you know? But one thing I love about the hybrid thing is that, take my Kraken for example, it sounds the way it sounds, but when I add the modeler in between it, splitting the preamp and the power amp, which hopefully I can demonstrate later today at my workshop,
Fingers crossed.
is how I can have that sound that I like from the amp, and then I can swap it out for, say, a model of a matchless or a Fender Twin, and start expanding the amp way more. And also, I feel like there's an element of production that you can add in with modelers because of things like EQs and because you can add really complex chains.
Yeah.
When you're writing in a band, for example, and you do stuff in the studio, you want to recreate it live. It's a little bit more achievable with digital.
Yeah.
But then having the luxury of powering an amp and having it blasting and getting that feeling from the amplifier, I don't think I'll ever not love doing that. So I'll always fly the flag for both.
It makes you play different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily what the audience is going to hear. It's more like what you have right now and how you're vibing with it makes it informs your playing as well, I think.
Yeah, for me, certainly.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned I don't know if it's funny. It's cool that you mentioned the conditioning aspect of doing that, because do you think that the younger generation that maybe hasn't had the opportunity to mess around with tube amps and loud amps and all that is going to feel completely differently about it, or are they at some point going to realize, oh wow, that's cool?
I think it's like the same thing with trends of like music genres and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know the way like there's this mild resurgence of nu metal happening.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's
people
true.
are getting back into that. I think it's the same thing with gear and stuff. Like everyone said, rack gear was dead, and then it's sort of come back, and
Yeah.
you know, these full
Bit
circle
of a
moments.
cyclical, yeah.
Yeah, but with tube amps, I think, as you said, younger players don't necessarily have the opportunity to play tube amps in a room loud, and so they don't necessarily feel invested in that experience. Therefore, they're not going to necessarily invest money in buying a tube amp, right?
Yeah.
Because they're expensive.
Yeah.
Good ones are. And I think it's that needs to happen more for younger players to experience that and maybe realize that they can coexist peacefully and have get great results from, because I don't know, maybe I'm old school for thinking that, but like you can't replace the sound, the feeling and the sound of a tube amp that's dialed in how you want it and get that.
It's all of that ultimately it's a very subjective conversation anyways. Like some people are going to say yes, some people are going to say no. It's whatever makes you feel good, it's whatever makes you play like you want to play.
100%,
and I know that if I'm playing through headphones, I'm not going to be happy with my playing.
No, I struggle with that too.
It's it's going to be that thing. You do it for yourself. Great. I think I want to talk about the signature stuff a little bit in respects to that as well, because you've been very fortunate to work with some awesome companies. Does that evolution of your rig also inform decisions when it comes to, okay, ideally now I would like to do this that way, or if I got the opportunity to work with a company that makes a delay, I would like to have this and that. Like, do you have some sort of a list of things that if someone reaches out, like, yes, I actually have the spec sheet right there?
I think with the when I actually boil it all down to what the signature products are, whether it's the plug-in or the pickups or the working with Victoria, fundamentally they're all kind of the same over this time period. Like I look at the plug-in, and it's like it's still a Kraken Fender Twin. I feel like I found the things that I really enjoy before all of that stuff came along, like playing strats and getting good single coil tone and fuzz, and the octave stuff, and then the type of ambient sounds I like. It all kind of still feels like it's fundamentally all still the same.
Yeah.
Even with the Quad Cortex, I still load up Kraken presets and dial in Strymon style reverb and delays. It's all still the same.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, not necessarily hit the end of the road of what I'd like tonally. It's more just I'm still over the moon with that kind of soundscape and palette of tones, whether it's single coils or humbuckers or whatever. I think the only thing I'd say is I definitely strive for maybe more dynamic now than I used to do.
Yeah.
Like with pickups specifically, I used to use a really high output pickup, and now I feel like I'm looking for lower output pickup. That I can just...
That age just kicking in.
Yeah, I'm nearly 40,
No, but I feel that. I mean, it's, it's this... you grew into that sound as a guitar player. That's the sound that you became associated with, and that took you where you are as well. There's a good reason why you still are going to go for the Kraken sort of thing, and then the Strymon, reverb and delay and stereo and all of that, because that's a part of you, your identity as a player now.
Yeah, and I think versatility is like really important.
Yeah.
Like people look at a Kraken, for example, and think, oh, yeah, it's metal, but honestly, going low gain on it with a Strat and lots of reverb, it's definitely more than a metal amp. And
100%.
I'm the same with whatever it is I'm using. I feel like it has to be versatile, at least in the scope of like gain.
Yeah.
Has to be able to achieve dynamics.
And guitar-wise, how are you now? Because you still got you got the Ernie Ball Music Man collaboration going on. Is there anything new-ish on the horizon?
Well, the Sterling's out in next month, which we talked about at NAMM.
Yeah.
In terms of the Music Man stuff, we've done the Sabre that launched last year, and we did New Colour this year.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be working on something new that probably won't emerge till the year after next.
The year after next. Oh, that's
2027.
long-term teasing is what we're doing right here.
Well, it's really
good.
exciting. It's basically working on a new model for me.
That's great. That's awesome, man.
So
very happy for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm amazed that they even want to work with me. I'm like, are you sure you guys want to do this?
So, me?
Yeah.
You looking behind you.
Like the YouTube comments, who? Who's that guy? He works at Anderton's.
Yeah. Works. Yeah. I mean, we see the comment section every time you're back on the Anderton's channel. Every time
funny,
you're back, it's like it's wild. But
I think people, whoever just watches the YouTube demos and then see like a company like Music Man or something making a fuss, they're like, why? They have no idea, and I don't blame them. Like if they're not interested, it's more just confusion. I understand.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my watch because we literally got kicked out of the last stage for overstaying our welcome.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure we were in time for this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm still gonna wrap it up. I don't necessarily. Maybe tell the people what you got going on in the near future. You said you were going to be touring with Vauer?
Yeah, we're touring in November. We're playing 3 dates in Germany, actually. We're playing Wiesbaden, Hamburg, and Berlin.
Awesome.
Which I don't know how close any of those are to here. My geography's terrible.
Yeah, Google knows.
Yeah, and then
we'll check.
and then the UK, a bit of Holland as well.
Nice.
And then there's a new EP coming out, and then on the side I'm writing my own stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which will probably be I'd love to do it to be one sort of angle musically, but what ends up happening is get a Strat and fuzz, and there'll be like a bluesy track, and then there'll be something really heavy, and then some ambient. So I'm trying to work out if I just focusing on one
how
thing.
to do it, coherently.
Yeah.
So that's exciting too. It's an exercise on its own.
Yeah, and other than that, just keep putting little clips on social media, standard stuff. Just keep on keeping on, right?
Keep on keeping on. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you, dude.
Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for
Thank you
attending.
all for hanging out.
It was Rabea Massaad.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think we can get started. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are at Guitar Summit in Mannheim in 2025, and today we're going to talk to Bernth about life, the universe, probably his new Ibanez. So thank you so much all for stopping by and for tuning in live on YouTube as well. So Bernth, we've not met before.
We have not. I don't know how that happened, but I watched a lot of your videos.
Well, likewise, right?
Oh, nice.
So tell me, I guess you're known for the YouTube stuff you put out, but also your band is one of the more extreme kind of metal bands that that you might end up listening to. Mm-hmm. So when you were growing up, tell us about the first guitar that you bought and who the bands that were sort of, influencing you then.
That's an instant, easy memory. When I started playing when I was like 13 or 14 years old, everyone was playing BC Rich guitars because of the pointy edges. That was the most metal thing that you could buy back then. And at one point, I just wanted to explore some more styles playing guitar, and it kind of feels off when you have a super pointy guitar. I also had some flying V's back then, and when I signed up for the conservatory to actually study jazz guitar, you can't show up there with a flying V or something like that. So I discovered the Super Strat shape for myself, and I've been playing that for over 10 years already, I think, because this is something I can show up to for a pop gig, because I do play for kind of a pop band back in Austria that do like arena and stadium size stuff, which is super cool. But I can also do my, as you mentioned, more extreme kind of metal stuff. So this is kind of a shape in general that you can show up to any gig with, I think.
So your guitar playing journey sounds like, was there a classical element or a jazz element to your conservatoire? And was that, I'm finding it sort of, it's always an interesting journey when you go from learning that style of music, but that ultimately your passion is to play, a much, much heavier kind of music.
Oh yeah.
So what was happening through conservatoire then? Were you passionate about classical and jazz styles of music, or were you just trying to get through it to play the metal stuff?
So you unfortunately kind of have to choose between two different things if you want to study all this stuff. One thing is classical, and the other is jazz, and there's not really much in between. and I'm drawn to classical a little bit more musically, because it's very much about technique. Like I covered some Paganini stuff on my channel, for example, which is great alternate picking, exercise stuff. And the only disadvantage is that you would have to play on acoustic guitar, of course, and with fingerstyle if you want to actually study classical guitar. And I'm kind of married to this thing right here and want to play electric guitar, of course. So I decided to go with jazz. And it was pretty interesting because in my first 2 years, I just sounded like your super average jazz player and was getting average grades as well, because I never got too deep into the music as a metal guitar guy. But at one point I kind of discovered that you are allowed to shred a little bit when you play some fusion tunes and all that, and that's where I kind of excelled, like halfway through my studies there, and I ended passing both degrees with honors at the Vienna Music Institute, just because I started being myself a little bit more, just taking influence from the jazz and from the theory, but kind of doing my own thing over the more fusion style tracks. So it definitely helped with opening myself up to more than just death metal and black metal. And
who were your guitar heroes then going through? Because I've never been to a conservatoire, but I know the kinds of insane sort of jazz players that you'll get teaching at those places. So you've got that influence here. Who was the other influence on the other side that was the more metal influence?
Oh yeah. So when I was studying, one guy that I have to mention because he needs much more recognition is Konrad Schrenk, who was a player that was kind of classically trained but also jazz trained and also had a metal background, so he could kind of do everything. That's where I got really inspired of, okay, you don't have to be a metal player, you don't have to be a jazz player, you can actually be influenced by a lot of stuff, and he showed me a lot of things technique-wise as well. But growing up, it was of course Kirk Hammett, because of I think everyone gives the same answer who's into metal, because that's the first band you kind of get into, Metallica, especially the 80s stuff. So I wanted to learn those solos, which are a great entry point for any metal player. And then I got into kind of the technical death metal stuff a little bit around 2007, 2008, with a lot of bands there. And that was the time frame where those Betcha Can't Play These videos on Guitar World went viral, with just where they had guitar players just trying to play their hardest lick. That was kind of inspiring, and it looked pretty cool. But while I was studying, and I mentioned this to you already, I watched your Guthrie Govan interview maybe 6 or 7 times, because he was a big inspiration back then, because he was also, or he is still also, one of those people who you can't really call just jazz fusion player or a rock player, because he does everything flawlessly. So that was kind of cool for me to see, and that's also where I took a lot of inspiration when it comes to the picking technique, because he plays so perfectly on time and articulated and all of that. So that's every guitar player's favorite guitar player, I guess.
I'm sure it's always fun to hear a little bit of playing as we go through the interview. I am interested in, maybe you could just play us a few seconds of something where you feel your conservatoire and sort of jazz understanding has influenced something heavier. So how you might approach a sort of a heavier solo, but with more of that sort of jazzy background. I can hold your microphone if you want to speak at the same time.
So, this is pretty great.
Yeah, I'm also available for hire as a microphone stand anytime.
So one thing that I actually really like to do is work with some of the chords that I got introduced to at the conservatory, because I used to, of course, always play power chords all the time, and the occasional intervallic kind of stuff where you work with fourths and minor sixths and all that. But I really got into chords like this that I use very, very frequently for my stuff. I'm very guilty of overusing that specific chord, so feel free to steal it. If you watched any of my videos, you've seen this shape quite often. So this is something I took with me that helped me quite a lot to not just work with like your basic chords that only consist out of root, third, fifth, but to also throw something like the ninth or major second in there, which is super simple in this case, because you have, I think most people know this classic kind of minor chord, E minor in that case. As a metal player, you would do this, for example. But what's actually cooler is to, instead of playing the octave, so E, twice, which is kind of boring, play the same note twice, to just move it up a whole tone or just 2 frets to get the ninth or major second. like. I have a lot of like tapping stuff where you go, where you just add some tapped notes on top, or actually in F, not in E in this case. So that stuff I took with me, where you can see like a chord shape and then an arpeggio on top. Stuff like this, I think, is where it doesn't go too deep into crazy theory, because we also talked about like the alto scale, soloing, the whole tone scale and all that. That didn't really stick with my kind of music, what I'm trying to do. But just small details like this, that you can have more than 3 notes in a chord. Could be 4, could be even 5 if you go for chord extensions. I really like that.
It's always interesting, I think, to talk to somebody who's had a more formal music education as opposed to perhaps self-taught, because even just visualizing a chord and then the arpeggio over the top of it, I think is something that a self-taught player wouldn't do. They might see a shape perhaps over the chord that helps. So do you, and that does sound to me like that has helped you make your style of playing more interesting than perhaps a sort of a conventional 80s or 90s kind of rock shredder who might be more just a self-taught blues guy or something.
I think so. What I'm trying to avoid is just doing something that's complex, kind of for the reason of sounding smart or trying to sound smart, because I had that kind of phase where kind of that theory started making sense a little bit more, and I was like, I'm gonna throw in this augmented lick because it's augmented and it means I'm very smart. But then it didn't sound cool. So I'm trying to balance that. But as you said, the one thing that really helped me was visualizing the fretboard a little bit better, because I was kind of stuck in scale shapes quite a lot. And it's really cool because the one exercise I can recommend for anyone that wants to get a little bit deeper into that is when we had to study improvisation, which is contradictory, of course. But when we had to practice and study improvisation at the Institute, they kind of forced us to play over simple chord changes, and we were not allowed to play the root note over the specific chords, and maybe also not the 5th, because that's also not the most interesting note. So we kind of had to play over every single chord change, maybe the 7th or 6th or something like that. And once they kind of forced us to play notes that sound interesting, the solo suddenly sounded more interesting, because it wasn't like A minor chord, I'm playing A, F major chord, I'm playing F over that. So just simple stuff like that really helped me personally quite a lot.
Now your career as a guitar player is quite bizarre
It is.
in the extremes of what you can go to with your own metal band through to some of the pop artists that you would play with. How does that even happen? Like, how do you even? I don't know. I think you look super cool, but it's like I'm not entirely sure that the guy with all the tattoos and the shreddy guitar is the guy that the pop artist would necessarily turn to. Maybe they do, but how does that happen?
For some reason it happens. On one hand, what definitely helps is that I've built like an Instagram and YouTube and all of those kinds of channels. So I get some cool requests. For example, for Netflix recently, I did music for Cobra Kai for that Netflix series.
Amazing.
And for that pop band, I feel like sometimes they think it's kind of cool to have a virtuosic guitar player, not for maybe the studio recordings. You don't have 3-minute guitar solos in there. Whenever I have to record something for their albums, it's a little bit more restrained because it's about the song. But for the live show, it's pretty interesting for a lot of even rap and hip-hop artists to have a live band and to have some solo spots for the players, because it just looks kind of cool when you get like all the lights on you and you do your solo thing and you kind of do something that's a little bit faster, where it's not just about the music but also about seeing like a show on stage, someone that's actually kind of blazing through scales a little bit. So I get to do that for some pop bands, because I feel like it kind of benefits the live show. But of course, whenever it's a studio job, it's mostly about the chords, where all of the knowledge that we talked about a little bit earlier comes in more handy than the sweep picking stuff and all that, for sure.
I mean, I think it's fantastic that you can be available to such a variety of genres. I mean, you mentioned Guthrie.
Oh yeah,
I think he's the master of just. You could hire him to do
anything.
Yeah,
I think if you give him like a technical death metal song, although it's maybe not his favorite style of music, he wouldn't nail it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, let's talk about guitars.
Yeah.
Nice.
You mentioned starting with a BC Rich.
Yeah.
I strongly approve of that. They're
Warlock.
super cool guitars. But it doesn't come any bigger than a brand like Ibanez for if you want to work with a contemporary guitar brand. So tell me about what's gone into your guitar and some of the choices that you were able to make about the features that have ultimately ended up on it.
Thanks for asking. As I mentioned, I don't want all of these interviews to turn into a sales pitch for the new instrument, but we just released it like 2 days ago because we didn't want to just post a video and guitar is out. It's nice to be here to see people trying the guitar and to actually talk about it. So one of the things is kind of a simple design choice that made my life much easier immediately. We decided to move the knobs a little bit back. I think that's what you can see right away. I think it's the only guitar in the AC line, and also I don't know if there's an RG who has that feature, but for me, when I do a lot of my picking stuff, I follow the strings, like for sweep picking. So I don't really angle the pick like this. I like to have the same picking angle for all strings. And I always used to bump into the knobs because they're usually right below the pickups. This is not an issue if you're playing chords or any of that, so it's not a major design flaw that I fixed. It's just something that always stood in the way for me when it comes to my playing. So that's super cool. And the other thing is that we designed some pickups with Fishman just for this guitar. So they're not available on the market right now, maybe in a couple of years, but right now they're just in this guitar. And the reason for that is I always had to switch between different guitars. I think most players know that kind of frustration of I have one guitar that's perfect for metal, but the clean tone maybe not that great with the active pickups, and I have this one guitar with single coils that's great for all the other stuff. So with this one I don't just have the 5-way switch, but also the push-pull switch for to get that single coil sound out of the 4th position, for example. Can maybe give a quick demo if you would be so kind. Thank you so much. So I have a distorted tone right here, but in the 4th position, that's usually what I use to.
Do you want to go cleaner? Because I think we can just do that.
Nice.
See.
Awesome. So I usually had this kind of sound with my other AC, and it sounds nice, but I wanted it like a little more spanky, single coil like. So now when I pull out the switch like this, I get the kind of classic, this kind of tone out of the instrument. Once again, kind of a difference, going from something like this to this right here. So that's super cool for me. And the other thing that, I'm gonna take that again, sorry. The other thing that's really nice is that I can finally play with a neck that lets my fingers do, like each finger stability-wise gets the most amount of control by being supported with the thumb, because I grew up with the myth that you have to play the thinnest neck possible in order to play fast. So I had those super thin necks, and I was always kind of tensing up because you don't really have anything to grab onto with your fingers. And I realized when I tried my first AC guitar, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, that a thicker neck actually helps a lot with stability with your fingers. Like not a super thick neck like this, but if you have a bit of a neck to hold onto, it really helps with the support. So this is kind of an oval C shape, which is a great compromise for me between too thick and too thin. And yeah, those are some of my favorite features. I think it's no surprise that the guitar turned out black. That's yeah.
At least you kept the pickups white though.
Yes.
Right?
So my kind of theme is black and white, which is probably not so hard to tell, I guess.
So I mean, I love the AZ range because there's such a versatile range. But let's talk about the rest of the signal path. I mean, we're using these little blue guitar amp ones today, so this is not, I guess this is not your normal rig. But what are you using, and how does that change from when you're in the studio to when you're doing sessions and live stuff?
Yes. So usually I'm going with a Kemper. I have the one that's built into my rack, which I still think is like cutting edge technology until someone told me a couple of months ago that this is already almost 10 years old. But for me, it's still brand new and interesting. And unfortunately, now I can't bring it with me everywhere because right after this I go to China on tour for 2 weeks, then to South Korea, and then to Australia. So now I ended up using the Quad Cortex for a lot of stuff, as a lot of players, I think. And at home, I really like working with plugins because I love tracking DI tracks.
Okay.
Because I can decide later on the sound. Because sometimes I record a part and the song is done, and then I'm like, maybe that would sound better with a clean tone, and maybe it's not even a metal riff. So that has always been a bit frustrating for me to re-record when you're going straight out of a Kemper or Quad Cortex like this. So. At home, it's just a DI track, super simple interface. On stage, for the bigger productions I do, it's the Kemper because it has been really reliable, like the massive rack unit, and the Quad Cortex for some flight shows. I heard that some people have some issues with some units here and there because they have a big touch screen and all of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's that seems to be the choice of a big percentage of. Particularly musicians that have to fly a lot from one, and they take they have their Kemper or their QC in their backpack and their guitar in the other hand, and then you can be anywhere, right?
Yes.
So, let's talk a little bit. I mean, thank you very much for taking us through the guitar. I think it's a beautiful guitar, and I'm sure it'll be very popular. Tell us a little bit about the stuff that you started doing with Charles Bertrou as well, because that's been hugely popular, and the idea now of YouTubers who everybody. I think it was for a while, if you're a YouTube guitar player, you weren't a proper guitar player. But now you're taking YouTube musicians on the road for live shows.
And forcing them on stage.
To show that actually some of them can play as well. So, but how did that come together, and what do you hope you achieve with that kind of that concept?
Thanks for asking. I mean, you had Charles on the channel. I also watched that video. It was pretty cool. Maybe we can do something in the future as well.
Yeah.
With him, I started working today, 3 years ago. We actually have our anniversary. I still have to text him. It was on this exact day that we did our first video together, and we did not immediately talk about going on tour and forming a quote-unquote band or project or anything, but we just work in a very similar way, where we're both extremely reliable, and if he's like, send me a part, I will send it in the next couple of hours, and it's vice versa. And we were both not used to that at all, because musicians can sometimes be, it sometimes takes months to get a response to something. So we just gelled immediately, also musically, and did some one-off shows, and our first European tour earlier this year, and we also had Ola England with us, which was a great package, and was a big test, because you, of course, have to book like a tour bus that's like $40,000 gone right away. And you're not sure if it's the first time you do this live, if people show up. And since a lot of those venues ended up being sold out, which was really cool, we decided to make this a thing and bring the Escape the Internet tour all over the world if possible. So now I'm going to China with Charles, and South Korea and Australia. And for 2027, there will be another European tour. And we want to kind of, as you mentioned, switch the lineup, so that it's not one band that goes on tour, but the Escape the Internet kind of concept, where there could be any lineup, and we can reach out to any people really that are interested in doing that. I just talked to Rabea about it real quick. He would be a great fit, for example. And I don't know the whole package for 2027 yet, but Charles is pretty certainly a part of that.
What if you could put your dream... like this, so this is people that they could be alive or dead, people you've met, whatever. Who would be the dream 2027, 2029, whenever it's going to be? Who would be the dream Escape the Internet kind of lineup for you?
That's a tough one to answer. I mean, one guy was getting Ola for this tour already, because that's who I grew up with, watching, kind of thinking, oh, this kind of looks fun. Maybe I should record a video at one point as well. So he has been an inspiration for me. But what I would like to do is, a lot of people know this certain drummer, of course, that you see on Instagram quite a lot, who does the one-handed thing. LS de Pario Cipriano. I never know how to pronounce the name of that account. But he would be pretty cool, and people often suggest. And we also reached out to him, but he's very focused on his band at the moment, just pushing that. So he said he would only be interested, I think, if his band was involved somehow, which makes it a little bit difficult logistically if everyone wants to bring more musicians. If you get like a lineup of 5 awesome people and everyone wants to bring the 4 guys in the band as well, it's going to be a bit tough to do that. So he would be great. And I also met Pliny for the first time yesterday, who's not just an amazing musician with great songs. He's also very, very nice.
Very chilled out
which
guy.
is cool.
Yeah.
And we already talked to Mike Dawes for the next tour, and I think he's very interested in that. So he's also one of those people who's not just playing very, very well, but he's also putting on a real show. Like he's almost dancing around on stage doing all of this stuff. So I have a long list of people.
What about if it wasn't a YouTuber?
Oh.
If you could have one
Yes.
non-YouTube megastar to be in the lineup.
I would choose someone I met very, very briefly, unfortunately, on Friday, who's also here. It would be Tosin, I think.
Really?
Because he's also very much in the online world, but you don't think of him as like a guy who puts out a video
Great
every
choice. I was
Yes.
thinking, I don't know. Have you got a hero from when you were growing up? That you think
growing
would
up?
be- would it be?
It would be one of those kind of more old school metal people that you would not get on a tour like this.
They just wouldn't do it. You mean?
Yeah, I love Marty Friedman, of course, who's
He'd be
also
great.
touring as a solo artist, and he also worked with Ichika, I think, on some stuff. So I think he even I did a rendition, kind of a mathwork rendition of the Tornado of Souls thing, and he actually commented and said it was really cool. So I think he's open for the kind of newer wave of players, but I'm not sure if he would go on a tour package like
He
this.
might do some dates in Japan with you.
Yeah,
You never
that
know.
would be cool. That would be really nice. I have to study that picking technique a little bit more.
Oh, it's
That's-
the sort of the
Yes.
upside down hand claw
It's
thing.
something
Yeah.
that works perfectly for him, but I have no idea how he does that. So it would be cool to see that up close and to analyze that a little bit more. That would be nice.
All right. Well,
Maybe
look,
one day.
I have thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you.
Thanks
I
so
think
much.
I'm sure these guys would love to hear a blast of maybe some more playing. So if we
Nice.
could maybe give Bernth a big round of applause. Perhaps he'll play out with a minute or two of shredding.
Sure.
I'll hold this for you.
Can
if
you help
want.
me change the...
Yes. Put it back. There we go.
Nice.
Thank you, Bernth. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. For waiting.
Hello.
Sorry for the slightly delayed start. But anyway, if you're joining us from the audience at Guitar Summit in Mannheim or on YouTube, welcome. And it is my honor to have probably one of the finest sounding guitar players on the planet, Mr. Andy Timmons. Welcome, please.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Now.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Believe it or not, I think you were one of the first guys I ever interviewed on the Andersons YouTube channel.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I know I've kind of bumped into you at shows and stuff
Sure.
in between, but it must have been 8 or 9 years ago, I think,
Yeah,
that we
I
had
think
you back when we used to shoot video in a broom cupboard at Andersons.
It was a little space. I remember.
So tell me, let's catch up since then. I mean, you're one of these kind of artists that I think is so synonymous with your ability to make the guitar sound beautiful. So let's talk about that. You know, you're in a world of hyper talented, shreddy guitar players.
Yes, indeed.
But you still get booked. So,
well, I mean, for me, it's not a competition for me. But I am uber aware of just hoping to have a good melody, a good sound, you know, and presenting it like that. And people do tend to resonate with that kind of music. It's always impressive, you know, and it's the kind of thing where you always want what you see others, you know, and I see so many great players out there that have amazing facility in that. And so I still strive for those things, but at the end of the day, it's that the right note at the right time with a great sound. That's what moves me, and it was always Jeff Beck's ballads that got me, you know, and the way Larry Carlton played a ballad, or Steve Lukather, his solo on "I Won't Hold You Back Now." It's just some of the greatest moments ever recorded, and so I just try to strive for those bars, you know.
do you have to consciously rein it in sometimes? Is there a sense that actually I could play this part to impress, or I could play this part to add?
Well, I think in my earlier records, like my first solo CD was called Ear Ecstasy, and I'd been in Danger. Before Danger, I was already, you know, writing and recording instrumental music. So I was eager to show myself. I want to be like Satriani and Eric Johnson and Steve Vai. And at that time, it was like, yeah, man, you got to shred it up. And so there was always that, you know, thing of like, yeah, I really got to give it that energy. And I still love to play that kind of music, but I think it's just natural with age and as your tastes change along the way that you're going to evolve into what you want to hear. You know, I think that for all of us, I think we're just trying to create the music. I want to play the solo that I want to hear, influenced by the music that I love. I want to write the song that I want to hear. That's, you know, it's based on all the music that I've loved in the past, from Chopin to Brian Wilson, you know, to Kiss, whatever it might be. That the right energy at the right time, you know.
Do you have, I was talking to another guitar player the other day, a guy called Rick Graham, who's a fantastic player.
Phenomenal.
We spent a lot of time talking about, he does this thing called ear training, which is he listens to other people's music.
Sure.
But what he tries to do is he tries to hear the intervals within the chords rather than necessarily where the melody's going. And that really, he's saying that influences how then he writes his own music.
Sure.
And I'm interested in what do you do to sort of listen and absorb and channel?
You use the correct word, the word absorb. You know, I do ear training, meaning I will learn by ear what I seek out. But as much of that is just pure absorption. Like at a time when I was learning jazz when I was younger, you know, you can read the licks off the page and maybe transcribe a little bit. But the thing that really made the difference was just 100% absorption and immersion into the style, so you can actually feel it. You're not just replicating somebody that's done something a certain way. It has to be a natural flow and feel. And for a rock player to get into the dotted eighth kind of swing, you know, it takes a while to really feel that in an authentic way. So now my obsession is Chopin, where, you know, I've always, you know, I love writing just pretty music. And when I started listening to him, I started recognizing the types of things that I'm attempting to do, you know, he had been doing in the 1800s on a very deep level. I'm not comparing myself to Chopin, but I was just recognizing this is a soulmate for me. And so then I made a decision. I want to listen to everything he wrote, and I did. But I was just looking for those moments, like in his Etude Number 3 in E major that everybody's heard, or the Prelude Number 20 in C minor. There's an emotional depth that he gets to that I don't hear hardly anywhere else, and that's what I'm striving to do. I want to find those places that makes people feel something, you know.
Do you know, I wish those old composers had given their songs better names. The idea of going, my favourite song is the 8th movement of the part 4
I know,
of the 9th. It's just like, why don't you just call it Wonderwall, and then we'd all remember it better.
Yeah, there's some of his famous pieces, you know, people give them titles, but that's not necessarily what he had in mind. Like there's the Raindrop Sonata, because it sounds like raindrops hitting the windowsill, or Suffocation, which is the most beautiful, it's the most gut-wrenching piece. Anyway, but I agree, because I don't know the numbers either.
So let's talk now. Many guitar players, I think, over the last decade or so have changed their rigs. Let's talk gear, right? We're all here to
Gear
see
nerds,
the gear.
gear nerds.
So many guitar players, I think, have chosen maybe convenience and portability over just what's the best. But you're not one of them. You know, you've kept it real and old school.
Not yet.
Maybe with the trapped nerve, that I'll see you walking out of the show now with a quad cortex under your arm, going, "Yeah, this is so much easier."
Exactly.
But I think it's, I don't know. I don't play at the level that you play at, but I still, to be inspired by a guitar tone.
Sure.
I have to really, really be in it in a way that
Agreed.
only the old gear kind of.
Well,
does.
so there's a lot of levels to that idea, and my thought is I'm not a purist. It's whatever inspires somebody to pick the guitar up. That's the most important thing, regardless if you have the most expensive amp and all the right pedals and, you know, a 59 Les Paul. It kind of doesn't matter as long as you've got a guitar that feels good and makes you want to play it. You know, that's the way it was when I was a kid. I never had quality guitars. Just the shape and the sound, I just had to do it. I could never not play. But then as you grow and get more aware of tone, then the journey continues. But there's tracks on my first CD. I was mentioning Ear Ecstasy. I had a little zoom direct, you know, because some of those tracks I would have thought were demos, but then I couldn't beat the performance. Like, okay, so, you know, but now I'm a bit of a purist now in that, you know, I'll want to get the greatest tone every time I can. You know, there's times where, you know, it's a necessity to go direct for sound purposes, you know, or limitations in volume. But I'm always going to prefer a nice, really high headroom 100-watt amp with pedals in front. And
this might be useful, because I think everybody out here, we're all playing maybe at home and with gear that has a limitation, a volume limitation, whatever.
Sure.
If you're presented in a situation where maybe the gear isn't as good as you would like it to be, what techniques do you rely on to just make sure you can still do a job and still sound good?
It's a lifetime of experience of being in those situations where maybe you have a backline silver-faced twin and you're trying to get a great rock sound. But even yesterday I did an interview. I had my pedal board, but it was a different amp that I wasn't used to. And I got my sound relatively quickly, and it starts in your ear. You kind of have to have an idea, you know, what you're going for sound-wise, and then over time, your hands figure some of that out, and then of course you learn how to dial the gear. And because most of my signal chain is based on pedal settings going into a clean amp, I'm not reliant on it being a specific gain amp. If I can have a nice flat, even clean sound, then if I've got my pedals, I'll be okay. I can do all the tone shaping there. And sometimes I don't have that, but it does start in what your idea of the tone is that you're trying to get, and it's you know, it's just, for me, it's like I'm always trying to reach my heroes, be it Hendrix or Eric Johnson or Stevie Ray or whoever you think has the best sound, and then we try our best to get to that level, and we can't because we're not them. The physiology is a thing, you know. Everybody's fingers and body. That's part of the sound. There was a friend of mine that did a study that even the acidity and your pH of your sweat has a part to do with the tone.
That sounds very Eric Johnson to me.
Well, it was a study done by a professor on Eric Johnson's tone. That's how he said it's down to Eric's.
I can tell you, we had Eric for a show. So everybody knows who Eric Johnson is, right? And everybody knows all the sort of the stories, the myths about the fuzz face, that he gets the sound by taking the back off the fuzz face and all this kind of stuff. I can tell you it's all true, and I can tell you that his tech Eric Johnson will even tell his tech that something isn't right if his tech has used the wrong mains lead to plug an amp in with.
Easily. Okay, so and I too, used to think, some of these things sound pretty far-fetched until you start trying them. So there was a time where I went to see Eric Johnson. He did a side project for a while called Alien Love Child. This must have been the mid-2000s. And we went to the gig, and he had his pedal board, but his tube driver was now on a wooden platform at a certain angle. And that, I'm like, oh, God, Eric, what's going on? And I asked his tech. I think it was somebody before Dustin. And I said, yeah, so why is he doing that? Well, he was playing one day, and I had to straighten the cable, so I lifted up the tube driver. He goes, what'd you do? Don't move. Okay, now fast forward, I was recording my record called Resolution. This is 20 years ago. And I was in the studio, and I was also using a tube distortion like Eric. And there was a moment where the tube driver was feeding a Marshall into a cabinet in another room, but I didn't have my guitar plugged into it. I was playing through something else. Well, we kept hearing sound come from the tube driver. Nothing plugged into it. So what's going on? Well, there's a tube in the pedal. And so microphonic resonation, it's actually very obvious. So what Eric realized is that when that pedal's off the floor, it's not picking up the vibration of the low end. It cleaned up my sound. I got out 2x4s, I set it on top, and it cleared up the low end massively. So all these things with Eric, as you say, so much of it is true, and it's that kind of obsession that drove him to get to that level of sonic, quality.
Do you want to start a new brand with me? We call it the Timmons ANTENNE, and it'll just be a piece of 2x4 that you put underneath all your pedals. We'll charge €99.
Look for it next year in Guitar Summit. Yeah, that's right.
We'll make a fortune.
I think so. This is the secret to good tone.
There's so many stories about that. We don't have time.
Okay.
So let's talk about. We started to talk about your gear, and obviously you've been a loyal Ibanez endorsee for years.
Yeah.
What's the secret, I think, to that longevity, and not just with Ibanez, with Boogie as well? You've been a loyal guy. What's the secret?
Loyalty is important in all aspects of my life. Obviously, in the profession, where relationships really matter. And this, Ibanez made a guitar for me in 1994, and I'm still playing it. And there's plenty of companies that make great guitars, and there's been times where I've had offers from other companies, but I didn't want to be that guy jumping around to different, what's the best offer I can get. They're just great. This is a family business. It's a great bunch of people, and they make the guitar that I love, so why not? There was a minute there I was like, okay, my headstock's a little pointy, and if somebody sees me playing, even though it's a very Strat style guitar, they see a different headstock, they might have an opinion about what I sound like before they hear me play. Because if I see a guy playing a vintage Strat, I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
I'm exact. Yeah. I got a Strandberg headless guitar.
Okay.
I could never be seen playing live with that, just because people would go, he's going to play like Pliny. And I'm like, exactly. I'm not going to play like Pliny. Yeah. So I know what you mean. It's like it says something about you, doesn't it? I think that's why the Strat's so easy, because you can be sort of anonymous, can't you?
It can be it's just up to the player.
Yeah.
As we were talking about hearing Philip Sace last night, which is just kind of, it's everything about the Strat that we love. He's the best amalgamation of Hendrix and Stevie Ray and all the great Strat tones wrapped up and just taken to Mars.
Yeah.
I love that guy a lot. He's so great.
He's phenomenal. Are you a total fanatic when it comes to buying new pedals? Do you like buy a new pedal every week, or has the pedal board kind of evolved now and it's pretty set?
There's always cool stuff coming out. I've been extremely fortunate to work with a couple of companies. You know, JHS has a distortion pedal, but that we worked on, and then but now with Robert Keeley, where we spent a year and a half trying to come up with my ultimate delay, and we did it. I got to say, we achieved what I was hoping to achieve.
Right.
And so we're also working on some other new stuff to be continued. But I mean, sound is so inspiring, and to try a new pedal and to see what's possible. I tend to stick to the usual stuff, but there's always a space or two on the board, like, oh, I could swap that out.
That's the problem with those little mini pedals, isn't it? You just go, oh, I could definitely squeeze that little pedal in between
just
those
one
two
more,
other ones.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing, I'm still having the hardest time figuring out fuzz. Every now and then I'll get it right, but I can never get back to it. It's a very...
That's the fuzz. That is...
I guess that is the fuzz.
You've just described fuzz. That's the problem.
All right.
I've changed the fuzz pedal on my board about 50 times.
Yeah.
Because I sound amazing one day with it, and then shitty the next day with it.
Exactly.
So
that.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
So what is the fuzz pedal at the moment?
I seem to be a fuzz face guy.
Okay.
And I have just a standard issue Hendrix blue one. Mm-hmm. And I've got vintage stuff. I've got one of Eric's old germanium ones that he let go of years ago. It sounds okay for me, but it's got to be him playing it through the. It's so depending on the amp and how much gain is happening there. But I love the old Sovtek Big Muff, the Electro Harmonics. And Robert Keeley just came out with a version of his Octasci, which is this crazy.
The one with the octave.
It's got the octaves. I use it for low octaves.
Yeah.
But now the fuzz is based on the green Sovtek Electro Harmonics, and it sounds great.
He's a sweetheart, Robert Keeley.
I love the guy.
Yeah, he's a good
We love
guy.
you, Robert Keeley.
Okay, well, look, I think we're we're pretty much nearing the end of our time slot.
But we didn't sing. We didn't sing anything. We're supposed to sing.
We're supposed to sing. Are we doing a cappella?
We could.
Oh my God, you don't want to see that. We clear the guitar summit in 3 seconds. What is happening with you? You band-wise, touring, tuition, what's new music?
All stuff. Yeah,
All
I'm
the
working
above?
on 2 records right now. There's a set of solo pieces. There was the song that is famous for Dan from the pedal show crying when I played it. It's called Here Lies the Heart. But it's a series of solo pieces that are based on my love of Chopin's Nocturnes.
Okay.
So it's called the Outlier Nocturnes, and we're working on that now. Very clean, nice echo, that sound that I love so much. But a new trio record with the Andy Timmons band will be happening next year. And we'll start touring a bit. We're coming back to Europe in March, a couple of weeks of dates. And you can find me on all my guitar courses, either on TrueFire, or I have a subscription site called Guitar Experience, no E, guitarexperience.net. And I've got over 60 of my songs transcribed, and I show every note, break it down, show you how I did it, talk about the gear, talk about how I wrote it. So it's good to document these things along the way.
Oh.
And I love trying to help other people because I'm always learning. And if I can inspire anybody else, then I'm honored by that,
Oh, well, look. Thank you so much for taking some time out today to come and chat to everybody. I hope your back gets better soon.
It's a pinched nerve. I'm limping around because I've got this...
I'll give you a hand off the stage.
That's my fibula.
But, man, and please, let's come back to Anderton's and we'll do a part 2.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Please, everybody, round of applause for Andy Timmons.
Thank you, everybody.
Says.
Thank you.
Just grab a mic if there's one. There's one. Okay. That's the more important one. Hey everyone, Philip Says, thank you for joining us. Give it up for Philip.
Right on.
Oh man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking time for us. It's an audience full of guitar players, I guess, right? Any guitar players? A few, just a few.
All right.
Do you feel different, or do you play different? Do you act different when you play for a musician audience as opposed to like music fans, like regular music fans?
I think that's a great question. I think honestly, no.
Okay.
But I I always try to give 100%. You know, if it's at a whole bunch of grandmas or if it's a whole bunch of guitar shredders. I want to play at my best always. But you are aware sometimes when there are really strong musicians in the house, they know when you make mistakes. So then they know. So I try not to make mistakes.
Does that stress you out a little bit, or is it like, whatever, I'll do my best anyways?
I think I try not to think about it too much.
Okay.
You know, hopefully they're friends.
Yeah.
You know, and so we can just be friends. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that I'm not perfect, and I'm a human being. So I just do the best that I can, and it's different every day. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You remember the PRS 40th anniversary show in Anaheim? We were there in the audience.
Okay.
And it's like 100% guitar players and bassists. And I heard from Paul Reed-Smith was at our place a few days ago, and he mentioned that even John Mayer was saying, like, I don't want to go out there. Like, it's only guitar play. I don't want to go out there. But it's funny how it's usually when you're together with musicians, it's they want this. There's this positive energy, like this spark, isn't it?
I think so. If in particular, this community that's been here at Guitar Summit this weekend, everyone's been very supportive, and it's not competitive. It's very supportive and very encouraging of one another, and I like that.
Wow.
You know, sometimes if people are a little more
looking like
then that's a different feel. But everybody here has been so nice and no ego and no nonsense. Everyone's really cool.
Is there a difference between audiences depending on continents or countries or anything?
So it's really interesting you say that. The first time I came to Europe to play, to Germany, was with Jeff Healey, the great guitarist. And I remember I asked him what should I expect, and I was about 19 or 20, maybe 20 at the time, and he said, the first thing you'll notice in Europe versus North American audiences is that European audiences know how to clap in time. So he said they all know where the beat is and they all clap in time. Yeah. Whereas in other places, it's all over the place. So that
we're in for a ride.
So they have good groove. He said, particularly in Germany, they got a good groove.
Wow.
So he was right. Yeah.
So obviously, to me at least, obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hear a lot of like the bass elements of Stevie Ray Vaughan, other players who have this incredibly spongy, chewy, amazing, blues-heavy, vibey kind of sound and influence, but so much more. And that's I think what immediately struck me, how, for example, if we take your last album, The Wolves Are Coming, there's so much more in there than taking a nice strat and making it sound amazing like Stevie did or anyone in this direction. How do you approach getting to the point where you're like, oh yeah, now I'm feeling it, I feel good, let's write music or let's go on stage? Like, do you have like those little things that's like, oh, I need that, or I'm aiming for that to feel real good and feel like yourself?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the great question. Very thoughtful. Thank you for listening to the music.
Oh, I love it.
You know, I'm very clear that there's only one Hendrix, and there's only one Stevie Ray, and only one Jeff Healey, and there's only one me, and there's only one of you. And I try to infuse as much of the influence as I can, because I want to remind people of where the music comes from. So in the same way that if I try to play something by Albert Collins, I want people to then go back and check out Albert Collins, and then go back and check out Buddy Guy, or check out Elmore James, or all of these great players. They wrote the book, and I'm only standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
Yeah.
These are the giants. I'm just trying to interpret the music in the best way that I can to remind people of where this comes from. And I respect them so much about it. It's not, and then do it in my own way. No one can play like Hendrix. We know that. No one could play like Stevie. You know, these guys, they were themselves. And so I'm working hard to be proud of who I am in my own way. And I think, you know, when it comes to creating music, I don't know if I ever feel like it's done. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Like, you know, when you record something and then you feel like, is this done? I don't know. And maybe you play it for your mom and see if your mom likes it. And, you know, your mom might say, that's good job. But you don't know if it's really good or not. And then maybe somebody says, you should change this. And then you start, oh, maybe I should change it. Maybe. So a lot of times it's hard to know when something is really done. Do you have that experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like you're like write a song or you play something.
Absolutely,
Is it done? When is it done? So I think sometimes you have to make peace with it, right? And And how do you do it? Like, what do you do?
I try to start like baby steps.
Yeah.
Like I have a section, I have a riff, I have a melody, I have something, and work on that. And when I feel like okay, I can keep this as a like the the foundation, and I can move on to the next part of the song and just keep on doing this until I feel like it's enough. I've said everything in the song that I wanted to, and then I look back, and if I enjoy listening to what I did more than just that day a few times, like a week later, I'm like, I actually like this. Then I force myself to shut up and like that's it, stamp on it. In the drawer, it's done. I think it doesn't necessarily mean that I got the most out of the song, but at least I got to a point where I'm like, I like this. I can live with this. How do you?
I agree with you 100%. I think there's something about writing a song or a riff or whatever, and then put it away for a minute. Put it away for a month or something, and then come back to it and check it, because that time gives you the clarity, I think, too. And so a lot of times I'll record something and then not release it for a year or two, and let it sort of stew for a while, like you're making a curry. Let it just sit there for a while, and then you come back. It's not quite right.
Not yet.
And then it'll let you know, I think, in your heart. But sometimes having a bit of distance is good. Let it come out and then come back to it.
Do you ever have the feeling when you go back to something that you've written like half a year ago or something, does it sometimes for a moment feel like it's not yours? You have the objectivity of like the listener? Do you have it any?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can happen two ways with this. So sometimes you write a riff and you're like, oh, that's a cool riff. Oh, I've never heard this one before. That's the perfect riff. And then you just play it, then you write the song, you're like, I'm so glad that I wrote this riff. And then you realize that's Layla. Oh shit, I just played Layla. Like that riff is already, oops. So sometimes that happens, right? You're like, oh, that's the best. Oh no. So I think everyone's done that. And then other times you write a riff and it feels that way, and it's actually because it's brand new. It's your own riff and it hasn't happened. But I think at this time in our evolution, everything's been done. So to some extent or another, so sometimes it just happens that you write, like we could write a song together and we both don't know, and then someone would say, well, I have the exact same song. What happened? So, it happens.
Exactly.
Unintentionally.
And it's even weirder because there's so much music out there that you don't know a song, never heard it, and there's a big chance. And then someone says like, oh, that's from Nick Johnson. I did that. I accidentally wrote a Nick Johnson melody. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, nope.
But unintentional. Like it's just, there's only so many notes. There's only so many combinations of those notes, and where we are at this time. So in our evolution, so it's all been done. But
but it's all about the nuances, isn't it? Like, how about talking about guitar tone in the same way? Like, do you have like a go-to amp and pedal set, like type of amp and pedal? That's, I guess, easier to answer. Where you would start and then, change spices here and there, swap out this, do that. Would you have like a go-to bass rig?
Yeah, I think, thanks for asking. I think usually it's some type of amplifier that has a lot of clean headroom.
Okay.
So I prefer, a lot of times would be like a lot of 60s vintage amps, like a black panel super reverb or a twin reverb from that era. And, I would, from there, I'd maybe start changing tubes and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe things like disconnect the vibrato circuit on those because it opens up. Very simple things,
That's so weird. So you go in the second channel, the vibrato channel, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens to the sound? I never tried that, disconnecting the vibrato.
So, there's a couple like real simple things you can do, like just at home. So first you pull out the V1 tube, right? So your first channel, you pull that out, the preamp tube, and then that does something to the circuit. And then you pull out, if you disconnect the vibrato, that also opens up the circuit a bit.
Wow.
After that, though, you got to go to a real amp tech. I'm not the guy. But just little things like that immediately open the amp. It gives it just a little bit more width and openness. Changing the amplifier like a tube rectifier to a solid state rectifier is something that I like. It gives you a little tightness in the low end.
Whoa.
So that's something I like to do. So yeah, those are with amplifiers. That's usually it. I work with an amp designer in Sweden named Tommy Cougar.
Oh, wow.
And I've been working with him for a long time. He's incredible. He only makes a few amps a year, but we work on those types of ideas together.
Wow.
He's the mad scientist, and I just kind of give him crazy ideas sometimes. But he's brilliant. Tommy Cougar is his name.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And guitar-wise, 3 singing coils cannot go wrong, right? Like that's the basic idea.
Usually that's my favorite. Yeah, I do enjoy other kinds of guitars too, but usually it's single coil guitars, whether it's a Silver Sky or a vintage Fender. I use a couple of early '60s Fenders.
Your babies.
Yeah,
we know them.
All right, yeah.
So it's
I'm so thankful to have them, and also have a mid '60s Gibson SG Junior. So with the one with the single P90, and the single P90 guitars have such a cool sound. They just sound like some kind of jungle cat. They're just like rawr. They got like this great sound.
That mid range is just absolutely mind blowing.
Amazing.
It's so versatile too. Like depending on how you pick or what you do with those two knobs, it's can almost sound like an acoustic guitar if you go down the volume and the tone, right?
You're absolutely right.
So weird. How come you turn down the tone a bit to 6 or whatever and it clears up the mid range? Like how?
Amazing.
As long as it has the 50s wiring. Sorry, this is very nerdy.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's got a little deep in this.
No, I love it. I'm going with you, man. We're going way down. I like
way down. Okay.
Way down.
Okay. Breathe in. Crazy. Okay. I was surprised to see you playing the Silver Sky. Not because I don't understand the guitar. Since they came out, we have them in the studio, and we're like, that's it. That's kind of it. It's ridiculously good. How did that happen? Like, how did you get in touch with Paul, I guess, or the PRS guys?
Yeah, so a couple of friends of mine had been telling me about these guitars. It's Paul Reed Smith, Silver Sky, and they've been telling me for a while, you got to try these. They're really good. And I was like, okay, one day I'll try it. Yeah, whatever, thanks. And then I finally went and tried them in Los Angeles. There's an area called Burbank, and they have a Paul Reed Smith showroom. And my friend Glenn, who is in Austin, Texas, he's friends with a lot of really heavy players like Eric Johnson and a lot of people in the community. And he said, you got to go. And so he sort of set up an appointment for me. And I went in not knowing what to expect. And I took the guitar off the wall and we talked about it. And I played it and I went, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
These are amazing.
The neck is, what?
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And the best way that I can describe it is sort of like the 63 Strats that I have, 1963, those are like a muscle car, right? Okay. They're like a car from like a GTO or like a, some kind of big, muscle, super cool car. You can't recreate those. These Paul Reed Smith guitars are like, it's like the futuristic version. So it's like an electric car or supercar or something that have all the amenities, and they stay in tune. They play really smoothly and really fast. At that Paul Reed Smith event, I spoke with John Mayer about it, and he had the best things to say about the guitar. He said something along the lines of, and it was perfect description. He's like, it handles the corners real well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's like if you were in like a high performance car at a high speed taking the corner, it just hugs the road. And that's how that guitar feels. It's like being in a really nice car going 120 miles an hour around the corner. No worries. No problem.
No problem. That's the weirdest thing. Like in the comments, usually you see like, 7 1/4 radius, not touching that. I'm like, that was the only thing we never ever thought about was playing the guitar. We had it in the studio, started playing it, and like it's just beautifully round, but you don't really think of it. It's like the strings are low, no buzz. It doesn't, fret out. It's like, sometimes specs can sort of frighten you in a way that's absolutely unnecessary. And Really interesting. I was curious to know how you feel about the guitar. How come that connection came? Because we had the same sort of moment.
It's exactly that face you just made. That's what I did. Same thing. I was just like, what? Like, why? How? What? Why didn't I play this sooner? And I don't play it to replace the '63 Strat. Like that's a very special type of instrument. It's like an old violin or something, right? You can't. But these are, as far as I'm concerned, the best new evolution of that guitar. So it's like the next level of it. And the other thing I will say is that traveling with it over the last couple of years, it's really strong. Like you can throw it around or whatever, no problem. Like just like an old Strat, no problem. Stays in tune great. No notes from me. I think it's great.
I really want to know what kind of drive, because you say you stick to high headroom amps if you can.
Mostly, yeah.
On the latest album, how would you get that gnarly, thick rock sound? Because that was so fascinating. I'm guessing it's gonna be single coil still, but it mostly, had the thickness. So what can we imagine? What kind of drive pedals or preamps did you use?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So what I use the most is usually like a fuzz face. So take like a vintage fuzz face, and then for anybody here who's into fuzz face style pedals, right? Exactly. So that you work with the volume, you roll the volume back, and you can get super clean with it. Or if you have your volume on 10, it's like a wall of lions. It's like a crazy sound. So really just working with that and turning the amps up really loud so that they're working, because they're basically like big motors. It's like a big engine. And if you're just driving around, like if you have a Ferrari and you're just driving around in first gear, you're not seeing what that engine can do. But if you turn that thing up, and then you feel the roar. And I think that's true for a lot of vintage tube amps with the high headroom. It sounds loud, but there's something magical that happens.
Also, it usually does not hurt. Like there's volume, but there's nothing about that sound. Like not even a crank plexi. It's unapologetically brutal, but it doesn't really hurt, which is a weird combination. Because usually, if something's loud, there are frequencies in there that instantly pierce your brain through, and it's like really bad. But those don't do this. I don't know why and how, but
it reminds me of you talking about that, like a plexi crank. That's a good one. And it doesn't. My friend Ken from this band called Sons of Otis, who's like one of the heaviest bands ever. I don't know do you know these guys? Oh yeah.
Heard of them,
So Ken has all these great sayings. He calls it hot needles. So a lot of amps are like hot needles in your ear, right? It just sounds like a dagger goes in your ear. Those amps, they don't do that. They hit you in the chest. They don't hit you in the ear in the same way. And so I think about that. That's the sound you want to get, is the thing that it's not like your teeth are being, it's not like you're at the dentist. It's more like it's getting you here. That's where the magic happens. And I think about seeing Robin Trower once, not that long ago, and man, is he loud, right? Really loud. But it's the sound that envelops your whole body. It doesn't hurt. Like you don't realize how loud he is until you leave, and you're like, wow. But it's like soul power. It encompasses your whole body. I think he's the loudest guitarist that I've ever seen, and it was the most sensational tone. Didn't hurt at all. It's like, but you could hear somebody else through like a 20-watt amp, and it's like, it hurts.
Absolutely.
So there's like it's like that, finding that sweet spot.
I think that's the giveaway. That's where you can tell, like, that's the one I want to stick to, and just keep around. It works. It works. It's so cool. What kind of music inspires you now to just have a good time, or to like get into like songwriting or anything? Do you have like something that's like maybe unexpected or just changed compared to like when you started out?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. I feel like the music that what I got interested in music about in the first place is still what turns me on the most. So
if I'm, sign.
I mean, it's still all my guitar heroes. All of them. I'm still excited about. Still learning from them every time I hear them. Even if I've heard a recording 1,000 times, there's still something in there that I can learn, and like, wow, I didn't hear that before. I didn't realize that or consider that. if I listen to a Beatles album like Revolver or even Magical Mystery Tour, something, I'm still amazed. I'm just amazed by what they took out of the air and created in terms of the melodies and the production and the ideas. To me, that's still the pinnacle. It's still so amazing. And a lot of modern music too. My wife turned me on to Tame Impala, who I think Tame Impala infuses. I hear a lot of John Lennon in Tame Impala, some Beatle influence, and I love it. It's great, but also with much more of a modern thing. I think The Weeknd is fantastic. I love the melodies, I love the rhythms, all of it. So I like a lot of different stuff to try to get excited about writing. It's not just guitar-oriented music. It's not just vintage, even though I do think the high watermark was reached probably in that Beatles era. I think it got great after that. I think there's a lot of great other popular music, the Eagles, so many other bands. But I mean, it might sound cliche, but I just don't think anyone has gone beyond what the Beatles did. I just don't.
Well, we all should aim
for
that, right?
I mean, and I'm surprised when I hear a song I haven't listened to in a while. Since my dad died, I can't listen to the Beatles as much because that was the soundtrack that he always listened to. It hurts too much, but just like a random song that I haven't heard in a while, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, why? What? This is so good. It's so good, and the sound, the tone, the production, all of it.
It's so interesting how older recordings, especially younger people, and I know this because I was that guy, feel like, oh, this just sounds crappy. It sounds old. It sounds thin. Where's the low end? Where's the whatever? Why doesn't it scream all the time? If you would remix and re-record the original performances and make it sound big and modern and compressed, that would be it. I think that would ruin everything about it because the whole thing just works together in a way. Like if you listen to an old, I don't know, Pink Floyd album, it's like, don't remaster it, please.
No.
Like, no, just put it on a vinyl, close your eyes, and that's exactly how it belongs. That's how it works, isn't it?
It's magic. You don't need to get in there.
It's just such an honest sound. It's not impressive. It's just honest.
Honest, and also there weren't as many tools for people to rely on to seem like they're really, really brilliant, right? They didn't have Pro Tools to fix the
no auto-tune,
or putting things on the grid or whatever. And there are things that are imperfect in vintage recordings that make it, to me, perfect. It's human in that way, you know. And even if you go further back, I mean, listening to recordings of people like Louis Armstrong, and you want to hear tone. Is listen to Louis Armstrong play that horn. That is tone. That is pure. And that might be one microphone in a room. They knew how to mix themselves around one microphone. So that's perfect. Why would you change it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You talked about perfection. Where do you draw the line? When you record something or when you like practice for a tour, wherever it is, like, do you have like a level of imperfection that you say like, I'll keep that because I stand by it, you know? Or do you say like, nah, on a recording, the world is weird. Let's stick to 100% perfect.
Yeah. It's a good question. I think that the inner critic, you know, I think we all have the inner critic that sometimes it won't let you, it won't, for me anyway, it won't let me leave something. So if we got a really good take, but it wasn't perfect, it's a little out of tune or it's a little sloppy, but it has the spirit. You know, you can rely on modern tools to fix things, which is okay sometimes. I'm okay with that. If it's really like bothering me, other times I might try to leave it, and other times I can't let myself leave it. I'll just have to re-record it until we get it right. But sometimes when things are sterile and they're perfect, they're boring. Like it's like, okay, that's cool. Like, where's the danger? Where are you living on the edge with it? Was it? Were you in the moment? And sometimes, you know, again, I think I said this a few minutes ago, but I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. So the art that's coming out isn't going to be perfect. But I do push myself to try to play and sing and perform to the best of my ability and to strive for that. But I think if it becomes that, then it's too much like margarine. You know what I mean? Like vanilla, like too clean.
Too clean.
You know what I mean? You want it to be a little bit crazy.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I think the word danger you used. That's the quintessential. Like that's it. Like if it feels very clean, I wouldn't say it's boring, But especially in this weird time where anyone can fake anything with like a weird app or whatever, program on AI, blah, and then it's perfect. It's like I think people more and more appreciate the realness in everything. I think that's why live shows after the pandemic became like so relevant again, and people strive for. At least that's how I feel. Like I want the realness. I want to touch something and smell something. And
oh man,
I think that's. I love that you are here and spread awesome music because that's exactly what I think the world needs. I don't know.
Well, I'm with you, and it's interesting you mentioned about AI, and I think if I want to hear something perfect, I'll just let AI create it for me because that's perfect, and that's cool. But it's
MIDI and like quantized.
Yeah, that's great.
Yay.
It's great. It's perfect. I don't care. Like whatever. I don't care. But meanwhile, if I see somebody, like if I listen to Van Halen 1, I'm like, oh yeah, like my hair is standing up. You know what I mean? Like, and not that Van Halen isn't perfect, but just there's something so like whatever. Like he doesn't care. He's melting your brain. He doesn't have time to worry about being perfect.
Exactly.
Like, and that's what excites me.
Oh, Phil, thank you so much for taking time for us.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. And Philip Says, everyone.
All right.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. That was cool, man.
It was so good.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.